Take a look at this beggar, just sitting in the middle of the road for some reason. And he mumbles to himself like an old man. Everyone thinks he's handsome, but a little slow. He just sat there, gazing at the peaceful scenery of the castle, but behind that foolish facade. Here was another man whose past knew no bounds. With the sword CEO in hand, he destroyed everything in the blink of an eye, slaughtering those who dared defy him and mocking the world. Thus, he was dubbed the Absolute Devil, the most evil human in the world, regardless of nation or age, a title reserved for the strongest in the world. After dealing with a few troublemakers, an ice spell suddenly blocked his path. Then, a figure clicked their tongue, drawing the attention of the Absolute Demon. The 8 immortals, paragons of justice, descended to Earth to judge him, demanding immediate punishment. They never expected a human to be unable to stop him, so they descended to deal with the Absolute Demon on humanity's behalf. Yet even facing dozens of immortals, the Absolute Demon showed no fear, enduring their magic. Sealed in the deepest part of Dongting Lake, after 1,000 years of imprisonment by the 8 immortals, the Absolute Demon never expected to be betrayed by those drunken revelers in the heavens. But thinking about it, he realized it was because he was too weak. Everyone he knew was gone after he was released from the seal. Since no human could live for 1,000 years but him, the demon of annihilation wandered aimlessly, drifting with the clouds and wind, trying to live out the rest of his days, as if held back by the ghost of the past. Had his imprisonment made him this way? However, his life would change forever after meeting this girl, clinging to life, a fragile being he couldn't help but stare at, even kneeling to take her pulse. As the girl groggily opened her eyes, his heart skipped a beat, for she resembled someone he once knew. Feeling guilty, he decided to heal the girl, realizing she wasn't sick but simply unconscious from hunger. Searching, he found some pills that had been stored for a year. Unused. Better diarrhea than death, he thought. No sooner had he thought it than he fed her a pill and quickly left, before she could wake up and cling to him. 2 clear skies stretched high above, bare branches reaching up. Jianyu, asleep at the base of a tree, was suddenly awakened by a noise. A warm bun is presented before him, and he silently observes the girl and the pastry. With glistening eyes, Hwasome looked up at him expectantly. Slightly perplexed, Jianyu asked indifferently, "What is it?" The little girl silently looked at him, then smiled brightly in response. "Steamed bun." He looked at the girl before him, and she continued to stare at him with wide eyes. "I didn't ask for it. I asked why you're giving it to me." He remained silent, thinking, "Does she want to repay me?" The girl still offered the bun with a warm, sunny smile. He turned away, his coldness startling her. "I won't eat it." He found the child strange, unusual, someone without fear or hatred. The next day, as he sat beneath the same tree, Little Blossom came running with more bread. The day after, the little one sat in his lap, happily sharing a cake with him. And for the next half-month, she brought him food every day and sat with him as he ate. I ate the food the child brought me every day. Perhaps after 1,000 years of war, facing countless horrors, these things had become distant to me. The child's innocent and pure smile was foreign to me. Foreign, but not unwelcome. The scene shifts to a bustling, lively neighborhood. A man shouts rudely, "Hey, kid!" the sound catching his attention as he arrives. The yelling only intensified. "How dare you steal from me? You've done this too many times. Today, I'll teach you a lesson." A curious crowd gathered, including him. "Oh my God, everyone's gathering around. This brat has stolen from me so many times. What are you going to do?" The little girl trembled, clutching her head. "I'm sorry." The sharp scolding continued to echo. "How dare you steal from someone as good as me? You'll pay for what you've taken." He glanced down, parting the crowd as he approached. "How dare a child like you steal?" As if seeing through everything, his brow furrows slightly. "Is she giving me stolen goods?" As the man moved to strike the girl, he swiftly retaliated. "A thief like you needs a beating to learn. Call your parents here." A surge of pain contorted his face as his fingers were twisted, and the girl lay unconscious on the ground as he screamed in agony. "It hurts," he thought, quickly leaving with a terrible feeling. "How frustrating. I've been living off the food she brought me for half a month." Annoyed, he walked quickly, wondering where she had gotten the food. He thought back to the bread she brought him every day, which he simply ate to survive. Little did he know, she stole that food while being beaten. He flew into a rage, teeth clenched. "I don't like this. I don't like anything. Why do I feel so unhappy?" He walked and walked, not realizing he'd wandered into the forest. Damn it, I wandered aimlessly and ended up here. He couldn't help but be surprised by the sight before him. Standing before this majestic landscape, he never imagined it would be the darkest place in his life. A prison that held him for a millennium. Standing by the lake, Dongni felt the breeze, unable to believe that he, a martial god, had slumbered in such a desolate place. Then sighed. He was no longer connected to Lake Dongting. Just as he turned to leave, a face emerged from the bushes. "I found you." The girl was covered in filthy wounds, and he frowned, looking perplexed. "I only helped it once, so why does it keep following me?" He then asks the girl with a haughty look, "Why are you looking for me?" A hesitant Hoasomi stammered, I don't want to be alone anymore. Please don't leave." He silently looks at Hoasomi. "I have seized my own life, a solitary one. Even after 1,000 years, nothing changes. Desolate mountains and forests surround him." He lowered his gaze and asked, "What is your name?" The little one quickly replied, Hua Siomi. He gently stroked her head, wondering if her hardships were fate, then perhaps accepting this child could create a world where the current him is needed. "Very well. I am John Guhuyan. Come with me." Amidst the flickering flames in the desolate forest, Jian Huyan held the girl close, Hoasomi falling asleep in his arms by the fire. "I told her to follow me, but I have nowhere to live." He looks down at the girl. "I guess," he sighs. "She's fast asleep. I'll have to build a house." He held her close as they drifted to sleep. "As a child, I always dreamed of settling down in a house." Is that dream finally coming true? As the sun rose, the girl rubbed her eyes and awoke, staring wide-eyed at the house and the man before her, still lost in slumber. Then, his familiar voice echoed. Upon waking, she turned to him, seeking confirmation. "So you had a house here, my lord." As he continued to build the house, he answered her questions. "It was all so strange." "No, it wasn't. It's been here since yesterday. But I fixed it up a bit because it was rather dilapidated." The little girl didn't believe me and kept denying it. "No, it definitely wasn't there yesterday." But he seemed so sure. He must think I'm a child to believe such a blatant lie. He seemed so sure, maybe I'm the one who's mistaken. He must be right. Why would he lie to me? The little one's eyes sparkled as she gazed at the house before her, but there's no way such a beautiful house could appear overnight, especially with its rare red clay walls. She seems overjoyed to have this house. It's so big, like a garden. He smiles, pleased. "I'm glad you like it. I put a lot of work into fixing it up." The little one tilts her head, questioning. "Build?" Realizing his slip, he quickly corrects himself. "No, I meant repair." The little one admired him, saying he was so cool. He sighed, thinking, I guess she's still just a kid. His brow furrowed slightly as she spoke. "But there's no fence here." The little girl skipped and sang, oblivious to the dark look on someone's face. Perhaps that's why she was abandoned. The next day, a garden appeared, peeking out from the thick fog, leaving the little girl both delighted and suspicious. He didn't win yesterday, and now she's curiously playing in the lake. How did a lake even appear? He glanced at the little girl, lost in thought, and couldn't help but smile at her face. He thought to himself, there's still much to do. The bed and furniture, I'll make them one by one. He seems to be taking care of everything for the little one, and I can't let her go hungry, so I'll go beg. He chuckled to himself, thinking that this busy life wasn't so bad after all. He was pulled from his thoughts by a call of master, but he put his hand to the child's mouth and said, "Don't say anything." The child swung his legs, asking, "Master, what are you doing?" He simply replied, "The bath." A bath is necessary to cleanse the body. Upon hearing this, the little one tried to escape, but was stopped. "Hold still. I sold a boar and some wood to buy you some clothes, and you need to be clean to wear them." The little one seems to hate baths, insisting she doesn't need one, but he sternly picks her up anyway. "It's true for me, but not for you." The little one struggled, refusing to give in. No, I'm perfectly clean. I don't need a bath." He stared, bewildered, at the child buried in the suds. "How long has it been since you last bathed?" The little one is at her wit's end. "I don't know." The little girl is sparkling clean after her bath. Looking radiant, he nodded in satisfaction, finally seeing her as human. "Does the clothing fit?" The little one is overjoyed to have something new to wear. She's never worn clothes like this before, and seeing her so happy makes him happy too. "I'm glad it fits. I was worried it would be too tight. It looks beautiful." She was so happy she couldn't stop smiling, saying it was better than wearing cheap clothes and constantly being hungry, all while praising him. "I'm so happy. As long as I'm with you, I'm content with everything." He gently stroked the child's head, noting how well she spoke for her age. She smiled and said, "It would be wonderful if we could live a peaceful life like this. We can make it happen." The image of the two of them happily in their home is truly wonderful. But little do they know, they're being watched. Whispers spread throughout the capital. "Have you heard the rumors? There's a new residence near Dongting Lake." "What nonsense are you spouting?" "I didn't see anything when I was selling goods last week." "Yeah, that's why it's so strange." "Enough. If you're not drunk, be quiet." Meanwhile, elsewhere, could the rumors be true? Then the man reported that he hadn't seen it himself, but such rumors were indeed circulating. Hongjun scoffed. "Impressive? A mansion built in just a few days? Another lie, I'm sure. I'll take a look while I'm out for a stroll. Later that night, he and some guards walked with lanterns, whispering to each other, "The governor hasn't seemed well these past few days, has he? It's because of a group of bandits roaming Hunan. Even the royal family is troubled by this. I'm sure the governor is worried too." What was that? Has it really gotten this bad? It's all because of Jiang Bishan. Jiang Bishan, the leader of the bandits, is Jiang Bishan. He was a top-tier martial artist. Assassins dared not approach him. His horsemanship was excellent. He could escape even when pursued by a superior rider. When someone sent him his family's heads, Jiang Bishan grew suspicious and violent, spiraling out of control. But he'll soon be wiped out by the imperial court, so you don't have to worry. At least, I hope not. As Hong Yun spoke, lost in thought about the unsettling year, his eyes suddenly froze on the hazy landscape. When, unexpectedly, a house veiled in mist appeared before him. Look, is what I'm seeing real? It is. There's a mansion. Suddenly, the guards all knelt down, chanting, "Forgive me, Buddha, forgive me." The official beside him was aghast, unable to believe in ghosts, but Hong Quan remained unfazed, saying, "Of course not, let's go in." But before he could barge in, something stopped him. He turned around to see what it was. Uyan stares him down. "I don't recall inviting any guests." Hong Gun, sensing a bloodthirsty gaze, hesitantly asks, "Are you the master of this estate?" He nodded. "Yes, who are you?" Then he introduced himself. "I am Hong Wo Trang, the governor of Nachduang, and I assure you, I will not be weak." "Am I speaking to a government employee?" Hearing this, he introduced himself. "I am Jian Uyan." Then he pointed and asked, "Did you build this mansion?" He scratched his head and replied, "I didn't build it. I just renovated an abandoned house," which annoyed him. "Are you kidding me? This is government land. You can't build or live here without permission. Don't tell me you didn't know that." But Uyan fires back, "So why don't you agree now?" With that, Uyan tossed the beast's corpse at his feet, stunning him. "I told you to close your eyes." And so, Hongwo closed his eyes in anger, determined to capture him, but Uyan was fearless, wondering if he should wait a little longer to avoid further trouble while Somi slept. And so he reluctantly followed him. Honggun, emboldened, sneered, "You've chosen the wrong person today. I won't let you off easy, so be prepared. You've sucked up to the governor, so you won't just be drowned, you better survive." But when he looked Uyan in the eye, he hesitated. Heavens, those eyes are fierce. I need to deal with him quickly and get some rest. After walking for a bit, Uyan suddenly stopped, causing the guard to angrily shout, "What are you doing? Don't tell me you're going to defy the family." But suddenly, he fainted mid-sentence. Hongwo turns sharply. "What's going on? Who's there?" Then, arrows rained down, causing heavy casualties as soldiers vomited blood, leaving only Hongwo and Yu alive. "What's going on?" Terrified, he asks in a trembling voice, "Who is it?" Suddenly, the enemy shouted, drawing their attention. "You're brave to wander around out here." Then he realizes it's Jiang Bisha, sneering, "Today is your death anniversary." Hong Utrang's presence terrifies the young man. "Damn it, this was a mistake. It's been over 6 months since his family was killed. I didn't expect him to target me now." In this situation, Uyan spaced out, thinking about something else entirely, a sleeping child, and how noisy these guys were. Hongwo realizes this guy is useless, and with only a sword, he can't fight a dozen men. Moreover, they're a top-tier professional gang led by Jaedong Bitch-san. They cry out, "Boss, kill them! We'll avenge your wife!" Then he grabbed Hongwo by the collar, and as he said, "Boss, I'll chop off his limbs and feed them to the dogs, make him piss his pants, please show me mercy." The other man didn't hesitate to stab him in the gut. I've always wondered when I'd hear those words, and there's no day more joyful than today. I want to see that panicked face forever, but I can't, so I grab his head. "Today is your funeral." Hongo is speechless with fear. He throws him to his men, and I'll let him taste hell. "Yes, boss, make him scream. Please, save me. I'll do anything. Please save me." Now one of them is pointing at him. "What should we do with him, boss?" The boss then silently looked at the restraints on his hands, saying, "I see." Then he broke the restraint, saying I was lucky. If it weren't for them, I'd be in big trouble. "You're lucky, kid." After being untied, Yuyan just stood there, while Hongwo begged and pleaded. "Please, save me. I'll do anything. Just save me." Which made Yuyan feel a little guilty, and he teased him. "Even though you don't have hair over there, wait a minute." It makes him uncomfortable. "Are you talking to me? That man?" You nod. "Yes, I'm talking to you. What do you intend to do with him?" He replied, "I'll kill him just like he killed my family." Yu Hyun concluded, saying that just looking at him, he must have killed many people, perhaps even more than him. So, basically, this official is just taking revenge for those who were killed, right? Which is making his subordinates indignant. What, is that guy crazy? So he stopped his men and sneered, "Are you trying to save him or something?" Seeing the man's pathetic state, he couldn't help but scheme. There were about 50 of them, and he spoke up. "Officer, do you want to live? If you want to live, there's one condition. Never disturb my estate. This infuriated the thugs. That madman, what nonsense is he spouting? You've lost your mind. Meanwhile, Hongjun wondered if the manor he mentioned was the house from before, when Uyan repeated, "What do you think?" "Not a bad offer," he frantically replied. "If you save me, I'll do any—" before being kicked by his subordinate, who told him to shut up. As Uyan's protector, he warned them to back down or be injured, angering them to no end. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Before the thug could finish, Scarface lunged at him with his sword, but with one swift move he was sent packing to the afterlife, foaming at the mouth, and his comrades rushed to his side in a panic. Zhang Yu and Hong can't believe what they're seeing, frozen in place with fear. What nonsense is this? Even he has to admit that Zhang Yu is one of the 3 strongest members of the Dark Faction. I didn't see his movements. How could someone like him be captured and tied up? This kid, he might be stronger than me, but now it's 1 against many. We have the numbers, and haven't I faced countless foes stronger than myself? Yet facing this formidable opponent, he breaks a sweat. I should kill him instantly, then order the others to finish him off. The group then swarmed around Uyan. Zhang Bitch smugly thought he should finish him off in 1 blow, immediately yelling for his death as the group leapt into the air, charging at him. In that instant, a thought sparked in Uyan's mind, and his eyes turned cold. Should I kill them? It takes no effort at all, they'd all die in 1 strike. Suddenly, Uyan hesitated. The thought of bloodshed again unsettled him, but in a flash, he seized a bandit and cleaved him in 2. Zhang Beach was terrified. It didn't even take him a second. After throwing his sword, Ian began using stones to shatter the arrows, quickly taking down BCH's men. Zhang Bi thought in fear that a normal person wouldn't even be able to tell what he was doing. Could a human really do this? He's on a different level than any martial artist I've ever faced. Revenge is out of the question. 1 wrong move, and I'm dead. The moment Baeksan realized this, he yelled, "That punk!" and began to run for his life, abandoning his defeated subordinates. It was the fastest he'd ever run in his life. Yuyan tossed the stone in his hand, thinking emotionlessly. He ran away? What a coward, nothing like his appearance. Hong Yun, seeing Zhang Bi run, shouted, "No, don't let him escape!" He grabbed Uyan's leg and begged me to catch him. "Please, catch him for me." Uyan scoffed inwardly. What a coward. He watched him go, knowing he wouldn't chase a fleeing enemy, but this was the only way to end the mansion dispute. He had to listen. With that thought, Uyan leaped into the air, closing the distance to Zhang Bi in a few steps. The old man was stunned to see Uyan, who, before he could even speak, slammed his head into the ground, knocking him unconscious. After the battle, Hong Gun, covered in dirt and hanging from a tree, said, "Governor, our agreement ends here." Uyan glanced over. "I think you understand what I'm saying." Hong Gun nodded profusely. "Yes, of course." His face hardened with menace. "Remember, if you ask any questions about the estate," Hong Gun quickly responded. No, I wouldn't dare. You don't need to worry." Uyan continued. "And keep quiet about anything related to me." Suddenly, he paused, remembering Seomi's words. "Uncle, please smile when you talk to others. People are scared when your face is so blank," he thought and forced a smile. "Good, you understand." Hong W trembled with fear at the sight of him. A monster. He really is a monster. What is someone like him doing here? I can't possibly stand against him. I have to give that monster what he wants. I won't go near the mansion, or even the mountain in North Hunan, Yayang Market. Uyan takes Seomi for a walk, and she delights in the sight of people laughing and talking. It seems the bad guys in this area have been caught. I was quite scared when it was just us in that forest. Wayan looks at the child and asks, "Are you still scared, even with me?" Shyly, Somi answers, "A little." Seeing this, he reassures her. But now that he's been caught, a scent suddenly attracts Seomi's attention, while Yuyan remains deep in thought. The robbers have been caught, and the tattoo guy who was scoping out the mansion has disappeared. Min suddenly feels an emptiness beside him, only to find Somi gone, drawn away by the sweet scent of candy. With sparkling eyes, Seomi ran closer. "They look so yummy, Uncle." It was then that Yuyan realized, gripping his injured hand, he thought to himself, "I forgot that raising a child requires money. So much money." Yayan recalls his childhood. When he was alone, he could sleep soundly with just a pillow and hunt to stave off hunger, he mused. "Having lived like this since childhood, I don't know how to truly earn money, but supporting another person requires a vast fortune." Seeing Seomi so happy, he blamed himself. Why did I only remember now? Yuyan didn't dwell on it, quickly calling out to Seomi to turn back. The little one, losing interest, simply agreed. Okay. With that, Yuyan quickened his pace, telling himself he had to find a way to make money fast. Wyon walked so fast that Shirt couldn't keep up, when a loud scream echoed through the vast mountains. "Uncle, look at this." The sound came from Somi. The little one busily digs in the dirt, muttering, "Just a sec, almost done." Yuyan asks suspiciously, "What are you doing?" While heading home, Somi happily pointed at something, her face covered in dirt. "I want to bring this flower home to my husband," she says as Uyan teases her. "Can you even do it? It looks like it's stuck pretty deep in the ground." The child proudly flexes their newfound muscles. "Of course I can." Xiaomi is strong, or so it seems, but as she struggles to pull the flower, her face is drenched in sweat. Suddenly, Yayan notices something strange. These footprints aren't ours, but we're the only ones who've traveled this road toward the DH estate. While Somi plucked the flower, Wayan noticed the surrounding grass had been pulled up as well. Had someone intentionally planted this flower? After much effort, Somi finally uproots the plant, giggling as she tells Ayan, "I told you I could do it, but there's some kind of pouch attached to it, and I see it. Let's see what it is." With that, Xiaomi lifted it up. "I'll try opening it. Let's see what's inside." Before she could finish, an extremely shrill sound echoed from afar. "How dare you touch it? What do you want?" The young man, clutching a knife, rushed forward. The girl was caught off guard, and the blade was nearly upon her. In that moment of life and death, Uyan gripped the attacker's wrist, forcing him to drop his weapon. His hands restrained, the young man questioned him. "What were you trying to do?" The young man looked up, wondering who this was. Uyan's grip tightens, and the man trembles. "What is this? How is he so strong?" Uyan immediately throws him off, sending him crashing to the ground. Xiaomi, standing behind him, stared in wide-eyed shock. Then suddenly her eyes closed and she began to fall backward, but Uyan reacted quickly and caught her. Cradling the child, he wondered if she'd fainted from shock. Uyan gritting his teeth as he glared at the young man. "I sensed someone approaching, but why target a child like Somi? If they try to hurt her, they're dead. They probably just wanted to scare her." Uyan breathed a sigh of relief that at least they didn't mean any harm. Looking at the bag hidden beneath the flowers, he couldn't help but wonder what they were protecting so carefully. He cautiously opens the bag, a sinister smile spreading across his face. "This is it." Uyan approached the unconscious man, hoisting him onto his shoulders, thinking he might be useful. As twilight descended, the young man stirred, groaning softly as he awoke, his eyes darting around in confusion. "Where is this?" Uyan asked. "You're awake?" he asked, narrowing his eyes. "Who are you?" Uyan quickly responded. "I am Uyan." He looked into Uyan's eyes, fearfully thinking, "What is that look?" A look not only dangerous, but murderous. Uyan cuts to the chase. "When you attacked the shirt, I wanted to kill you then and there, but I changed my mind." "Do you know why?" The young man stammered. "I don't know." Uyan, hearing this, asks, "You don't know?" The man stammers fearfully. "I really don't know." Uyan moved closer, sitting next to him. "Everyone has value. How much do you think your life is worth?" Hearing this, the man blankly replied, "I guess about 100 million tiles." "I'm right, aren't I? Are you?" Uyan glances at him. "Your worth is quite high." The young man turned away, stammering, "But I think that's what I'm worth. I thought you were just a thief, worth maybe a silver coin, but you set your own price. You must be confident." Yu Hyun paused, then chuckled. "So your life is worth 1 million tiles, plus another million for trying to kill So-mi. That's 5 million tiles total." Hearing the price, he was speechless with shock, as Uyan looked down at him with a chilling gaze. "This is the price you'll pay to stay alive." The maids fawned over him, offering delicacies. "Oh my, Governor, you've worked so hard. Please, Governor, try this dish as well." Hongan replies with a smile. "Okay, I appreciate the thought, but I can only accept your kindness. I still have things to do, so I must be going." Then he rushed out the door, leaving 2 maids to think, "He's so cool." Meanwhile, Hongan, on the other side of the door, was screaming internally, "This is so annoying, so much trouble." He collapses to the ground, helpless. "The way people look at me has changed. Well, they think I'm the one who caught the infamous Jiang Bishan. The problem is everyone sees me as a hero now, not to mention the royal family's trust in me." A nervous official reports that a golden Buddha statue has disappeared from the palace, likely the work of a skilled thief. The official continued with a smile. "Since this matter requires absolute secrecy, I was thinking if you could lend us a hand, it would be simple for you. After all, you single-handedly captured Jiang Bishan after all your subordinates were defeated. I'm glad the prefecture has someone like you." Hongwan could only offer a wry smile. The official raised an eyebrow, reminding him, "You can do it, I'm sure." He stammered, "Yes, rest assured." Back to the present, Hong Wei thought, Damn it, if you're going to steal it, do it in a way that no one will notice. This is torture. Why did you let them find out it was missing? Who is that stupid thief? Why does the celestial realm give me so many trials and tribulations? Cutscene. Samte, bruised and battered, sweeps the courtyard. He lamented, "Why does the heavens give me so many trials and tribulations?" Samte wondered in bed the night before. 5 million yang. How can I get 5 million when I can't even get one? Moreover, he'd stolen and sold treasures his whole life, but never even touched a million nai. He sighed, glancing at Yuyan's frown. That look in his eyes. He wasn't kidding. Samte sat up, pleading, "I don't have any money on me. I'll bring it next time, please." He showed me mercy, then knelt down, kowtowing and shouting, "I'll do anything you ask. I can do anything. Cleaning, laundry, anything you need." His mind races. Why? Why does he feel that if he disregards this man's words, he won't hesitate to kill him? He can't die yet. Samte eagerly offered, "I'll do housework. I have to cook. I can cook." It reminded Yuyan of a shy little child. "Uncle, I'm not hungry anymore, really, not because it looks bad or anything." He wondered to himself after cooking, then added, "If that's the case, I'll keep all your possessions until you pay off your debt." Samte was stunned, and Yuyan warned him that any attempt to escape would double his debt. Little did he know, he was now consumed with resentment, thinking, "You scamming bastard, you think things will go your way? I'll find a way to escape." Once he overcomes this obstacle and returns to the present, the past will explain how he became a slave. A week has passed, and that bastard has been working me non-stop. If it weren't for that chubby kid, I wouldn't have been caught stealing and wouldn't be stuck with this massive debt. Somi peeks out from behind him with sparkling eyes, making Samit wonder, why is she always looking at me like that? I don't have much time. I have to retrieve that item before the black mercenaries reach the rendezvous point, the one I carefully stashed away after risking my life to steal the golden Buddha statue. The scene shifts to a lavish feast. Sam looks pleased while the little one drools with longing. Wyon watches. Somi devour the food and praises him. "You've got skills, you're better suited to being a thief." He chuckles, rubbing his hands together, and asks, "Are you satisfied?" Somi, confused, turned to him, but he quickly dismissed it. "Thieves? No, it's nothing." She finished chewing, then mumbled, "Quite good. I'll raise your salary by 3 taels of silver per month." Sam forced a smile and thanked him. "Thank you, sir." But inwardly thought, how awful. As if I'm going to stay here forever. Opening his eyes and looking around, he found the item's location. Now, he just needed to time it right and leave immediately after retrieving it from the beam. Yuyan put down his bowl and chopsticks, asking, "Xiaomi, have you heard of it?" Legend says that no matter how many times Sun Wukong is resurrected, he will always be in the palm of the Buddha. The little one, with a mouthful of buns, mumbled, "Really?" He turned to T. "You know about it too, right?" He chimed in, "Yes, I know." He's implying I'm some pathetic Sun Wukong. Sam Te thought bitterly. "Don't you know? If not for the golden band, Sun Wukong would have escaped the Buddha's grasp long ago," he continued, wringing out the rag and cleaning. Dragon is indignant. "Do you think I'm the type to clean and do laundry? I'm the greatest thief, stealing from the palace without anyone daring to approach. I am an unrivaled thief, and if I decide to flee, who in this world could ever catch me?" Song bitterly throws the rag aside, cursing under his breath. Sam takes off his apron and sobs. "This isn't it. This isn't what I should be doing, so why am I so devoted to it?" He bites his nails and frowns. Another 3 days have passed. Black Spear must have arrived and be waiting. If I'm late, I'm dead for sure. But if I hide in this manner, I won't be caught. And even if I am, I'm not worried, because he's here. I'm a thief, stealing and selling other people's valuables to live a life of luxury, not a servant. Suddenly a voice startled Sam to, "Hey, are you there?" He rushed over, replying, "Master, of course I'm here." Yuyan, carrying his fishing rod and leading Somi, gave instructions. "I'm going fishing with Saomi and we'll be gone for a while, so take care of the house." Samta realized this sudden opportunity meant Yuyan had let his guard down after a few days of good food. "A rare opportunity," he flattered, clasping his hands. "Understood, sir. I'll keep this place spotless." Yuyan tilted his head, reminding him, "I've said it before, but remember, running away will only double your debt." He waved his hands dismissively. "What are you talking about? I would never disobey you." He continued, unconcerned, "I don't care if you run away, but you'll understand why Sun Wukong was stuck in the Buddha's palm." Samert lowered his head, a sly smile on his face, feigning understanding. "Yes, of course," he thought to himself excitedly. "Farewell. He's finally gone. Farewell," Xiaomi asked, puzzled. "Uncle, why are we suddenly fishing? There's still plenty of food." He picked up a branch and drew a circle in response. It's nothing. Just keep fishing. I have something I need to take care of, she asked. Will you be back soon, uncle? He reassured her. Of course. Sumi happily gets up, agreeing with the question. So I just have to stay inside this circle? Uayan smiled sweetly, praising him. You're so clever. Deep down, I knew I'd have to set up a barrier here to keep wild animals or strangers from finding you and causing trouble. I'll be back soon. The little one smiles sweetly and obeys. Yes, sure will catch lots of fish. He responded, I'm looking forward to it. Then Yuyan teleported in, and Hong was still racking his brain. What can I do on my own? I have to capture Jiang Bisha. This burden is killing me. Seriously. He cleared his throat from behind, and the man frantically turned around, asking, Who are you? With a sly grin, he crossed his arms and said, I have a proposition for you. Care to try? Meanwhile, Samte was trying to make a quick escape. In a grand courtyard, a golden Buddha statue was placed on a table, along with an announcement. I want to sell this. The shopkeeper stroked his beard, assessing its value. This item is worth no more than 200 nyang. It'll be hard to sell. Samte immediately agreed. All right, that price sounds fair to me. Suddenly, the appraiser hesitated. But you think you can get away with stealing this? He grinned, holding up the golden Buddha statue with his eye patch. Sam smiled and shrugged. The shopkeeper handed him the money bag, warning him to be careful. The 6 ministries are on high alert after Jiang Biashan's capture. It's dangerous. He takes it in and asks, Jiang Baishan. He explained, that's exactly why things are so chaotic. He's the powerful bandit who rules the entire Hunan region. And that's why there are rumors that the governor will be moving to the central district. Samte scoffed triumphantly. I understand. Don't worry, I won't breathe a word about you if I'm caught. The shopkeeper chuckled. I'm not worried at all. Suddenly, hurried footsteps approach, and a servant bursts through the door. Something's happened. Samt was frantic as the shopkeeper stammered a question. What's going on? The servant stammered. The Quan Bin are surrounding us. It seems there's a traitor in our midst. He quickly stood and asked, Who did this? A sudden noise caught his attention. Samt now climbs out the window, waving goodbye. Well, I'll be going now. He tried to stop him, shouting, Hey, wait, when did that rascal steal my money bag? He jumps down, saying, Good luck to you. The shopkeeper on the upper floor curses, You little thief. The courtyard gates burst open, and a voice commanded, Arrest them all. Everyone inside was bound, and Hongjun strode in, stunned by the sight of the gleaming golden Buddha. He chuckled inwardly. So the Buddha statue really is here. In the distance, the shopkeeper was being led away. He asked, Damn it, who ratted me out? Hongwu smirked. That's not your concern. He scowled. You bastard, I won't let this go easily. Hongwu chuckled, reminding him, Don't force a smile like that. The criminal who stole the Buddha statue from the temple is the one who won't be let off easily. Hongwu realizes, That's right. If I can find and retrieve this precious item, I'll gain the trust of both the dukes and the emperor. He recalls Uyan Mok's words, that he could find the stolen golden Buddha statue there. He thought he was joking, but his words have come true. Who is that man? No matter the case, it must be serious, but it's still not as important as Jiang Baishan's case. In the desolate wasteland, the soldiers shout as they pursue, determined not to let him escape. The ragged Amte, exhausted, realizes all is lost. Why are they so persistent? This gold is weighing me down. I need to focus. This is reality. If I'm caught now, I'll be tortured and then executed. Just a little further, I need to reach those cliffs. Exhausted, he leaned against a cliff, his clothes torn, relieved to have finally lost them. But then, Samta Ion appeared, casually resting his chin in his hand. You're later than I expected, he said, causing the boy to scream in terror. He fell backward, stammering, How are you here? He wondered, What do you mean? Didn't I tell you? Sun Wukong is still in Buddha's palm. The exhausted Samtai panted, grabbed his money bag, and declared, I won't be caught in a place like this, before leaping off the cliff, confidently stating, I'll never be caught. Uyan could only offer a sarcastic chuckle as Samta skillfully descended the cliff face, smugly declaring, Once I hit the ground, I'm gone. Live a good life. Meanwhile, the idiot Uyan was already waiting below. He reached out and grabbed Samta's ankle, causing him to flip upside down in surprise, as Ion chuckled with a reminder. You should be more careful when climbing down cliffs. Your clothes are all wrinkled. Sam grits his teeth, breaks free, and clutches the money bag as he flees, wondering, what is that guy? Here at the docks, Yuyan sits with his arms crossed, even here, and there he is, again, riding a horse. No matter how far ahead I get, he always appears. As the sunset descends, Yuan taunts, I told you, you're still in the palm of my hand. Exhausted, Samta curses under his breath. Damn it. Ugh, he chuckled, reminding him that the debt would double for running away, making it 10 million NEI in total. You can pay 2 million with that bag, leaving a balance of 8 million. Hearing this, he gritted his teeth, tears streaming down his face, and furiously threw a punch, cursing, "You damn bastard!" Uyan, still teary-eyed, suddenly remembers, "Oh, I forgot to collect the bounty for Jiang Biashan's head. I'll use that money to buy cake." And Samte's fist is already flying towards his face. Outside, the trees stood still without a breeze, as curses and complaints echoed endlessly. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Inside the manor, Samte grumbled as he cleaned, feeling utterly wretched, unaware that Somi was watching him from behind the door. The child's eyes widened with amazement at the gleaming house, while Samte harbored resentment, thinking of Uyan. After being caught, he nearly worked me to death for a measly 3 incense sticks, which he stole from me in the first place. A moment later, he bowed respectfully, extending his hands at the words, "You cleaned well. I'm pleased, so I'll give you some gold coins." Then he groveled, "Thank you, old man." After cleaning up, he sat down, frowning and blaming himself. "It seems my life has given up on escape. After that, I tried to run away many times, but each time I was beaten to a pulp and never succeeded." The image of Uyan grabbing him by the collar like a sack flashed in Samte's mind, and he ruffled his hair, saying, "I'm out of ingredients. Guess I have to go to the market." As he walked, he fumed. Why does this estate have to be in such a remote location? I want to be back before he returns from the hunt, but even with swift steps, I'll barely make it in time. Suddenly, Samte stopped, his eyes turning cold as he glanced back, thinking. Meanwhile, Saomi, who had been secretly following him, was startled and quickly hid behind a large tree, flustered that she'd been discovered. Before she could finish, a voice echoed from above. "Hey, why are you following me?" But Samte was faster, standing right in front of her. She was about to explain, but then just smiled awkwardly and said nothing. This seemed to bother Samte, who coldly told her, "Don't smile or follow me. Go back. If something happens to you, my head will roll." He turned to leave, but before he could take a step, Somi's tiny hand grabbed his sleeve, and she spoke in a small, slightly hurt voice. "But I don't like being alone," she said, nuzzling her face against him, his expression still unreadable. Samt pried her hand off, saying, "Do you even know where I'm going?" But the little hands reached for him again, as she answered, without hesitation, "To town." Hearing that, Samte sighed and patiently explained to the little one, "That's right. I'm sorry, but I can't take you to a crowded place. Like I said, if something happens to you, that bastard won't let it go." With eyes as bright as the sun now filled with sadness, Somi's voice grew small and confused. "But I'll stick close to you." Samt seemed moved by the child's adorable vulnerability and paused to consider. The hunting party would return soon, but leaving a child alone wasn't right. Above all, there are many wild animals around, and Somi, afraid of not being allowed to follow, clung to his leg. After a moment, Samta reluctantly carried the child on his shoulders and instructed, "You have to stay close to me. Got it?" And Somi obediently replied, "Okay." Along the way, Somi was delighted, pointing and cheering at the sight of fruit. But when chased by wild boars, she clung tightly to Samta's neck in terror. Samte could only run faster, escaping the wild boars, while Shiemi cheerfully chatted with the birds. "Come here, please." Perhaps the journey to town was too long, and Somi fell asleep on Samta's shoulder. He was no longer annoyed with her, but simply slowed his pace so as not to wake her. Having arrived at the town, Somi woke up, overjoyed by the sights, raising her hands and cheering, "We're here!" Samte, however, remained as aloof as ever, telling her to be quiet. His eyes caught sight of 2 menacing-looking men. It was clear they were not good people. This place is more dangerous than he thought. Perhaps a consequence of the black market ringleader's capture. Remembering the past, Samte realizes the black marketeer was likely executed for trading the emperor's golden statues. He stops, a chilling thought echoing in his mind. What will happen to him if he's caught? Who stole it? They're not going to let me die in peace. Before I could even think, a hand reached out, grabbed the baby by the collar, and whisked her away. Neither of them noticed what happened until they saw a man with a huge X-shaped scar on his forehead, running away with Somi in his arms, thinking, "I'll take this girl." The little one, however, doesn't seem scared at all, but rather smiles with amusement, thinking, "This uncle is fast." Sant panicked, screaming internally that he was surely doomed, then rushed toward the man who took the shirt, yelling, "Hey, you bastard! Do you know who you're messing with?" Samt was shocked again. He knew the swift feet technique. Damn it. Annoying, he chased after him all the way out of town, shouting, "Hey, I said stop!" Something felt off. He was being led into a trap. But why? If I just left him alone, that bastard would have saved her anyway. But if I let that happen, he'll take my life too. I remember Yuyan looking down at me like an animal, seething with murderous intent. So, you lost my girl. Samty panics, screaming as he runs even faster. Damn it, I was a fool to bring that kid along. Why does something always have to happen? But he calms himself, realizing his swift steps technique means he's not slow. Before falling into the trap, he just needs to catch up and take back the girl. He uses his swift steps and manages to touch the kidnapper's shoulder. Hey, you bastard, give her back to me now. But instead of fear, he just laughed derisively. Take a good look around before you get cocky. This time, Susamte was truly stunned as he looked around, cursing inwardly. Damn it, when did this happen? He was surrounded on all sides by the man's associates. Each of them looked fierce and intimidating. Then suddenly, one of them jumped up and landed a surprise punch on Samit from his blind spot, knocking him unconscious. Meanwhile, Wayan returned to his mansion, silent and lost in thought. The house felt so vast. He remembered Samte busying himself in the kitchen, Somi by his side, gesticulating and beaming. He'd always thought being alone was normal, but somehow he'd grown accustomed to those lively days. It seems Somi went to town with Jung Samte, but that place is truly dangerous now. To keep Sayomi safe, I have to find them. Meanwhile, Samte desperately shields the tiny Sayomi. No matter how much they beat him, he wouldn't let go. Ignoring the blood and bruises, he only cared about protecting the small figure in his arms. The thugs, tired from the beating, stood over Samte, frustrated, wondering why he still wouldn't give up. One of them even stomps on him, while the others lean in to see him still clutching the shirt. The one with the bat and cap seems to be their leader. He says the kid's stubborn, meaning that Brad is important to him. He orders his men to bring the kid out so he can tear him apart piece by piece in front of this bastard. Hearing this, Samte looked up at him as if he were a demon, then looked down at the shirt, perhaps fainting from fear. He remembered his little sister from the year before, sweetly looking at him and gently asking, "What are you doing, brother?" XT looked at her as if she were the only jewel in the world, and smiled. "You're awake. I was just counting what I stole today." Seeing the loot, her eyes lit up, but she was also worried about her brother. That's a lot. Stealing so much must be dangerous. Samte smiled at his sister, gently reassuring her. "Why worry? Our parents are gone, so from now on I'll protect you. Don't worry about a thing. Just stay healthy. I'll take care of you until you die of old age." Children are so easily pleased. With just a few words, she was smiling again. Okay. From the stolen goods, she picked out a clean outfit, put it on, and showered it with praise. "Brother, this outfit is so pretty." Samte basked in her praise. He recounts how a wealthy merchant passed through town today, and he took the most expensive thing the man possessed. He stood, walked over to her, and snatched the garment away, explaining, "They looked dangerous, so I'm sorry, but you can't wear it for at least a month or two." This frustrated her, and she puffed out her cheeks in a sulk. Samte gently stroked her head, trying to soothe her. "Can you wait until those guys are gone?" She pouted adorably, like a child who just had their favorite candy snatched away. "Aye, but I wanted to show it off now," Samte joked. "I guess I'll have to hide it well." But that night, his sweet, adorable sister never came home. After tearing the town apart, I found my sister in a narrow, deserted alleyway. She had apparently found the outfit I hid and wore it out. Holding his sister's cold body, Samte sobbed. His world was gone. After that day, I began to hate children because they never listen. But now, he's trading his life to save the small body in his arms. One of them, losing patience, harshly listed his crimes. "Because of the item you sold, our boss was executed, and to avenge him, we're capable of far worse." He then reached out to pull Feng So Mi from Same's grasp. The kid's screaming, "Let me go!" he yells, not caring. "Hey, stop struggling!" Suddenly, Samte grabbed him, and even though he was down, he still managed to ask, "What are you going to do to the kid?" "You bastards." Without a word, he kicked him hard in the face, yelling to let go of that trash. Seeing this, Somi panicked and screamed even louder. The little slave bit the man holding him so hard that he threw the child to the ground in pain, cursing, "Damn brat!" Despite being thrown, the little one didn't cry, but quickly stood up, shielding Samte, who was lying on the ground behind her. Surprised, he stammered, "What? What are you doing?" The reddish-brown-haired man, bitten by the child, is now furious, drawing his sword and glaring at Sumi. "How dare you bite me?" Samte screamed at the child with all his might. "What are you doing? Run!" But all he got in return was a firm no from Xiao Mei, and he saw his sister's image once more. The little girl turned back to smile at him, as Samte anxiously pleaded with the child standing in front of him. "Please, listen to me. You'll die too." But the child's answer remained the same, louder this time. "If I do that, Uncle will be left here alone." Samte was stunned by the child's words, and the auburn-haired man flew into a rage, lunging at Sayomi with incredible speed. Is this crazy rat putting on a show? Die. But Yuion arrives just in time, stopping the blade, seizing his arm and breaking it. Shirt looks up, surprised the sword didn't fall, and says, "Uncle?" Next is Yuion's cool scene where he beats up those guys all by himself. He smirks, his eyes cold as he tells them, "Looks like you guys aren't going to die peacefully." The image of his sister flashes before Samta's eyes, stirring up old memories. Perhaps my sister also hated waiting for me alone in that dilapidated house. As Loder opened his eyes before Samta could process anything, Somi exclaimed with joy, "Uncle Noel is awake!" Seeing the child, he panicked, sitting up and staring at her, shouting with worry, "Hey, are you okay?" He gently stroked the child's head, saying, "Damn it, what happened? That's why I told you to run. Why did you get involved?" "You just needed to run away." Saomi looked at him with wide eyes and replied even more softly, "Noel, Uncle is hurt worse than me." He lay back down as Saomi tended to his wounds, her small hands gently wrapping bandages around his face and caressing his cheek. Samt lay there, lost in thought, replaying the events of yesterday. Kneeling, still holding Somi, he spoke to Yuion, but the man coldly cut him off, as if anticipating his words. "Take her away." He glanced back at Samte, his eyes filled with murderous intent, and said he would die there if he couldn't stand. Hearing this, he immediately hugged Shiemi tightly and ran like a madman. Thinking of this, Samte closed his eyes tightly. He couldn't remember what happened after that, and then he opened his mouth to call out to the little one. Somi froze, staring blankly at him. Seeing this, Samte simply said with a touch of annoyance, "Don't do that again. Your life is more important than anyone else's." "I refuse," Somi retorted firmly. "I don't want to." Now it's Samte's turn to be stunned, as the child turns away, carrying the medical kit as if nothing happened. "I refuse, but I would do it again if I had to. I don't want to lose my family again. Uncle was probably just thinking of running away." Siomi's words startled Samte, filling him with embarrassment. Did she realize? Somi's firm words echoed, "But I would never do that. I will become strong and protect everyone, so don't say things like that." With that, she grabbed the medical kit and left the room, leaving Samte alone with his doubts. Was I just scolded by a kid? As night falls, Hongwo leads a group somewhere, his face dark with anger as he curses under his breath. Damn it, these past few days have been chaotic, and now there's a gang fight near the village. Why does everything keep coming my way? A man behind him spoke hesitantly. "Governor, there's a strange report attached below." He turned back lazily, asking indifferently, "What?" He immediately relays the information he received to Hongwo. The victim's wounds were all concave and inverted. What kind of madness is this? Just ahead, the culprit, reeking of bloodlust, raises a blood-soaked hand to the face of his victim, ignoring their pleas for mercy. The soldier behind him saw the scene and didn't dare step forward, only shouting at Yuion, "How dare you!" Meanwhile, Hongo was panicking inside, but within seconds his panicked expression morphed into a beaming smile as he rubbed his hands together and spoke in a fawning tone. "Tia, greetings, my lord. What brings you here?" Wayan cast a cold glance at him, not hurrying to answer, but after a moment he pointed to the people lying sprawled on the ground and slowly replied, "They were planning to kidnap and murder people. They're bandits who associate with that black spear from last time." Hong stammers, then turns to his men, screaming at them to seize the intruders. The first two soldiers ran up, looked at each other, and one asked, "Hey, do you know him?" The man was certain that was impossible, and they exchanged confused glances. Is he the governor who single-handedly captured Jiang Bieshan and found the lost golden Buddha statue with his superpowers? Suddenly, Ayan asks Hong Wo why he's wagging his tail at this thug. "What do you know about the Black Swords?" Hearing this, he was shocked. "Why do you mention their name?" The Black Sword Society is one of the many gangs in Sichuan, but what sets them apart is that their members include criminals and wanderers, and their existence has been a headache for the royal palace for years, as they commit all sorts of crimes with their sophisticated abilities. Huyan continued, "These thugs and Taksang are scouts for the Black Sword Society, and Hengshan is their base in Hunan." This information left Hong in a daze. Before Hong Yun could finish, he placed a hand on his shoulder, saying, "I have something to return, so I'll lend you a hand." They arrived at Hengshan, a mountain range where a figure sat arrogantly on a high chair, looking down at a subordinate. What in the world is going on? Why haven't we heard from them yet? The subordinate bowed low, explaining frantically, "Please don't worry, Commander. They'll be here soon." He was Wai Hai Ok Sang, leader of the Hunan branch of the Black Sword Society, his face sullen as he grumbled, "The higher-ups are complaining. Just think of the money and time we spent on that black spear." The subordinate replied, "They're not just anyone. They're elites chosen from the best. There's no way they could make a mistake." Remembering Samte's face, Hukjiang thought irritably that it still wasn't enough to wring the thief's neck. Recently, Zhangbich-san, the one I've been watching, was caught, and a black merchant I valued has died. It seems everything is turning against me. Before I could finish thinking, the door opposite me burst open. Ayan stood before him, and the subordinate, terrified, fell to the ground, shouting, "What is this?" Not panicking, he calmly asked, "Who are you?" Soon, his imposing figure was gone, replaced by a bruised and battered man sprawled on the ground as Uyan ordered his men to arrest him. "Yes, sir," the archers replied, carrying Hayok away while whispering amongst themselves. "Is he really a member of the Black Sword Society? You've truly lived for this day." Uyan noticed gold coins falling from Hayo's body and stopped, thinking of his starving family, before approaching the soldiers and saying, "Wait," thinking to himself how great it would be to have something valuable to buy snacks for Somi. After taking everything he thought was valuable and hanging it on himself, he casually spoke to the group. And with that, he left, leaving them stunned and respectful. "Yes, thank you, sir. Please take care." And so, to raise the yellow shirt flower and Samte with care, Jian Oyan decided to scrape together money. 3 months later, summer arrived, and thanks to the loot from the Black Sword Society, their lives were more prosperous than ever. But Samte and Yellow Shirt had become completely different people. They've probably both gained a good 10 kilos. Yayan watches a chubby Samte sweeping as a plump. Somi excitedly peers into the fish pond, oblivious. "Hello, carp. You look delicious." Yayan stood there, melancholic, realizing the problem was that Flower Shirt and Samte had gained too much weight, but he couldn't blame them. It all started with Dune, who carelessly brought them every food item he could find. Every day he spent all his earnings on 3 meals a day, with unforeseen consequences. Usually the hungrier people are, the more they want to eat. And Jiang Samte's amazing cooking turned the food into delicacies, so it was only natural that they gained weight, whether they wanted to or not. Ayan, concerned, realizes their ordinary bodies can't handle this forever, and calls for Samte and Saomi. "You two come here." The two happily ran over. "Yes, sir." He coldly addressed Samte first. "From today on, Jiang Samte, I will teach you martial arts." Upon hearing this, Vo was stunned, hardly believing his ears. He wondered how a martial arts master like himself could teach him martial arts, then turned to Somi and said, this time in a gentler tone, "And you too, Somi." Hearing her name, the little one beamed with excitement. "Okay, I like that a lot." Seeing that, he said nothing more and simply told them, "Go out and buy some manuals." Somi happily agreed, but Samte, being more knowledgeable, spoke up. "But sir, the problem is they only sell things worse than third-rate goods out there." Uyan chuckled. "That's why I said buying these is perfect for your level." Behind Samte, the little girl jumped for joy, while he turned red with anger. Later, after buying all the manuals Uyan asked for, Samte was panting, but still said with a smile, "Is that all?" Uyan picked up a book, opened it, and said, "Tai Chi and Tai Chi Sword. I've heard of them, but I don't seem to remember." Samte interjects, "You don't know it? It belongs to the Wudang sect, one of the 9 major sects." Hearing that, he chuckled, "Wudang and Jiang Sambong. What an interesting name." Samte could only manage a wry smile. "You're the only one who could say that. If a Wudang cultivator heard you, they'd draw their sword in an instant." Uyan, without a trace of emotion, opened the entire manual and said in a few minutes, "Let's see." Then, closing the book, he said, "All right, let's begin." After Samte and Saomi had been diligently practicing until they were exhausted, Ayan slowly approached and said, "Why are you two flailing around like that?" The statement left them dumbfounded, as they replied in unison, "But that's what the manual says." Hearing this, Oyan coldly replied that following the book wasn't enough to be enjoyable. Then he threw the secret manual to the ground, declaring, "There is no path in martial arts to begin with. People create martial arts, so they create manuals to prevent others from stealing what they have created. Move in the way that feels most comfortable to you. Only then can you create your own path." As if enlightened, Samte and Saomi eagerly responded, "Yes, sir." By afternoon, Samte was sprawled on the ground, lamenting, "I can't go on. Just kill me now." Meanwhile, the little one was happily training, turning to me with a bright smile, like a breath of fresh air. Wayan forces a smile, clapping to encourage Somi. "Well done. I can see your martial arts prowess." He tells himself he never intended to teach Saomi martial arts. He just wanted her to exercise and get stronger. If they do well, they'll soon return to their original forms. But then, at dinner, he regretted it, watching the two of them drool as they spoke. "Go ahead. Eat to your heart's content. We deserve it today." Samt and Semi ate voraciously, as if they hadn't eaten in days, much to Uyan's annoyance. Damn it. After all that hard training, they're back to their normal weight. Samt excitedly declares, I could eat back all the weight I lost. Uyan retorts darkly, absolutely not. Elsewhere, a cup shatters into pieces. A blond man sits high on a chair, looking down at the bowing figures below. Sam, the leader of the Black Sword Society, and he looks furious, grinding his teeth as he speaks. What is it now? Jangbin and So Choi, do you know how much money they make each year? The subordinate standing below, terrified, stammered a response, but before he could finish, Sam cut him off, not giving him a chance to speak. Samakan continued, annoyed. I've lost contact with the entire Hunan branch, including the one I sent to capture Jiang Samate. He frowned, adding, Hunan was the most peaceful province, not only because of its strength, but its location was ideal for moving in any direction, and thanks to Zhongbin's madness, taking over new forces became easier. Then, he squeezed his eyes shut in frustration. Someone is interfering with our plans. I'm very curious to know who it is. The subordinates quickly and dutifully accepted the order, replying, We will move out at once, sir. Samakan directs his subordinates, starting with Governor Hong, then Jiang Samte, who wants to deal with So Choyan. Capture and torture them. They'll spill the information eventually. The crowd echoed in unison. The patrol leader returned to Yuayan's estate, where he was meditating, but suddenly opened his eyes, thinking, A storm is coming. Sam's weary sigh shattered the mansion's tranquility. I'm really going to die starting this morning. I didn't even get to complain before Yuyan cut me off. Get up, it's breakfast time. Wake up Sumi and let's eat. He tried to get up, but his body felt stuck to the ground. I'm exhausted. Can't I rest for a moment? But seeing Uyan's clenched fist, he scrambled to his feet. Coming, Your Excellency. Beneath a large tree, Semi meditates peacefully. The little one is surrounded by birds, and Yuyan silently thinks, he's awake. Then he says, Wash your face and we'll have breakfast. Hearing that, the child jumped up and ran to hug him, exclaiming, Food, I love it! While he could only helplessly reply, I suppose so. All the way, he remained expressionless and silent, leaving Samta puzzled, who turned and asked, What's wrong? Dayan replied, It seems windy today. Samta reluctantly agreed, still confused by what Uyan was implying. Suddenly, Uyan said, Have Jiang Samte check if anything's changed in Yueyang. Stunned, he asked, What? But I haven't had breakfast yet. He turned, his eyes as cold as if Samte spoke another word. He'd end him right then and there. Go check it out immediately. As Samte left, he grumbled, Damn it, let me eat first. Meanwhile, in Yueyang, south of Hunyan, the Chugang leader and the Black Sword Society's Wind Brigade were feasting contentedly, licking their lips after the delicious meal. The subordinate behind him announced that Governor Hong would escort Jiang Baishan to the palace tomorrow, extinguishing the light in his eyes replaced by a chilling darkness. That fast? He then wondered if it was strange that he had kept Jiang Baishan in Yueyang for 3 months. That governor probably wants to torture him for information, but the Black Sword Society won't yield to him. Still, it'll be troublesome if they escort him to the palace. Those palace officials are far worse than the governor. Only 2 options remain, rescue or eliminate. He smirks, asking his men what the chances of a rescue are. Upon hearing this, the subordinate immediately gave a concise and thorough answer. Based on the number of soldiers and escorts, there was less than a 40% chance. This answer didn't give Chugok pause, and he immediately ordered his men to kill him. His men quickly acknowledged the order, and he rose, stretching as he considered their next move. Dealing with the prisoners was easy. Now only the governor remained. Jiang Samti and that hermit caused this mess. What kind of people are washed-up cultivators these days? Chugok turned to see a familiar figure, one he couldn't mistake, and he was quite surprised. It was Jiang Samte, the one from the wanted poster. Seeing Samte walking, he rushed out of the restaurant to take another look, thinking he might know about the hermit, and continued to follow him, but was quite annoyed. Damn, how is he so fast? After tailing Samte for a while, he suddenly rejoiced as if he'd struck gold. Got you, that's a dead end. But when he reached the alley, there was no one there, leaving Chugok confused. He vanished, and back at the manor, Samte told Uyan everything. That's what happened. The atmosphere in the town below is really strange. I was even followed by a weirdo. I'm sure the Black Sword Society won't let me off easily. Uyan remained calm, responding softly and asking, I understand. Now, explain in detail what the Black Sword Society did. Samin hesitated, saying there was nothing special. Everyone knows the Black Sword Society was founded about 50 years ago by an unknown man. No one knows who the founder is. Rumor has it that a disciple of the demonic sect, after a crushing defeat against the 9 great sects, founded the Black Sword Society, but it's all just a rumor. Wyon points out that they have no leads, to which the other replies, Yes, sir, no one paid them any attention until now. Samt hesitated, but their leader must be capable, given his rapid expansion and clashes with major powers. Yayan added, The sudden appearance of the Black Sword Society has made them uneasy. For those major powers, nothing is more troublesome than this, as it affects their principle of maintaining stability. Sam carried the child while struggling to keep up with him. Indeed, the Martial Alliance had to intervene due to pressure from the noble families. Those who managed to escape are now members of the Black Sword Union, as Yuan states matter-of-factly. Such is the world of martial arts. He mused that the Murim Alliance was said to be formed by key members of the Orthodox sects. If the Black Sword Union's leader truly escaped under their noses, then he was indeed clever. In the past, such a thing would never have happened, but the current martial world is too peaceful. In my time, any rumor of a chivalrous sect forming would be crushed immediately, because too many sought to flaunt their power for no reason at all. Wyan's eyes reflected a hint of sadness. The current state of the martial world was peaceful to the point of being dull. Suddenly, Samti spoke up. "So what do we do? The governor must be in agony." Mayan suddenly remembered, speaking of which, he'd forgotten all about that bastard. Meanwhile, crows perched on branches as Jugok watched the man below with interest. The man stared back in disbelief as Juguk suddenly spoke. "You must be Governor Hong Wo-chang." The governor tensed, recognizing the speaker, who addressed him with a mocking tone. "I think you know who we are, so let's skip the formalities. I brought you here because I have some questions." Zhang's eyes flashed with caution. He realized he'd been careless. "I anticipated something happening while escorting Zhang Ban, but I didn't expect them to act so quickly." Then, Trang asked again, "What do you want to know?" Chugok's eyes lit up with interest. "You see, no matter how long I think about it, I just don't get it. Even if Zhang Bisang and Black Scythe are working together, it's absurd that our Black Sword Society branch was taken down by the likes of them, right? There's definitely someone else pulling your strings," Jugok declared. Suddenly, the image of that person flashed through Gotrang's mind. Ayan. Seeing the man's expression, Juguk knew he remembered something. He continued, "Why don't you spill it while I'm still being nice? You want me to put in a little more effort?" Gotrang was a little surprised. He closed his eyes and thought for a while, then struggled to say, "I don't know anything," he thought to himself. "I'm definitely going to die." But Jugok seemed to be losing patience. "Ah, so you're saying you'll take that secret to the grave, and a gentleman should keep his word." Humph. He rummages through his pockets, then says, "There's no other way." Seeing his pathetic state, Jugok thought that Hongo Trang might seem strong, but he had no martial arts, and his mental state was weak. The shock from the abuse alone could easily kill him. He held out a small bag and asked, "Do you know what this is?" Suddenly, Jugok gently blew the powder from the bag into his face and slowly said, "It's truth serum. Damn it, if it weren't for my master's orders." Samte recalled his master saying, "We need him." Hongwo Trang Samte didn't quite understand at the time. Why did the Union flag say we needed him? Still confused, Samte asked, "Oh, what do you mean?" At that moment, Samt received only a faint, ominous smile from his master as he hid and pondered. If I questioned him, I'd be beaten. And if I ran away and left that guy to die, he'd beat me to death for sure. I have to find a way to save him, but how? All he could think was how annoying this was. What did it matter if he died sooner or later? Then, Samte used his power to sneak up on them as they talked, and Chugok froze as he saw the light. What's this? Then, a powerful impact sends his subordinate flying. Then, Samte appeared with a spectacular kick, thinking his only option was a surprise attack, followed by escape. Without hesitation, Samte grabbed the page and ran as fast as he could. Jugok indifferently ordered his men to give chase, secretly thinking that it was Samte's lair. Outside, the henchmen relentlessly pursue Samte, causing him to panic. They're closing in. He ran, tears welling up in his eyes, silently pleading, "Master, please come save us. I can't believe I'm putting my faith in someone like him." Yuyan stood beneath the moonlight, embracing his sword. He gently drew his sword, the blade kissed by the moonlight as he raised it to the sky, admiring it for a long moment. Then a smirk crept across his lips. He thought to himself, "Is it showtime?" In the still sky, the moonlight illuminated the dark forest. After being carried for a long distance, Gotrang collapsed on the ground, only to have his mouth suddenly covered. Samt whispered to him, "I'll let go if you stay quiet." Confused, Gut whispers, "Who are you?" He glances sideways at him and whispers, "Jiang Samte is a subordinate of the great human." Gotrang's eyes suddenly sparkled as if he had found an idol. "That person," he muttered to himself. "Father, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't even be breathing right now. You have no idea how many times I've been saved." Samt playfully sticks out his tongue where the others can't see, thinking that he should say something about that so that Somi can live comfortably. He pondered, but first he had to use him to escape safely. Samte whispered, "Those guys will chase us to the death, so prepare yourself. First, I have to get away to find a chance for revenge." Suddenly turning around, he saw them staring back. Both of them were startled. Then Samtae picks up Go Trang and continues to run, wondering how everything went wrong. Deep in the forest, they both gasped for breath after their long run, thinking, "Damn it, we're cornered." Samit quickly stepped in front of Trang, defensively. Chugok, panting, arrived, followed by his men, who surrounded Samta. "Die." His legs could barely hold him up, but he still shouted defiantly, despite his fear. "Damn it, if you want to fight, come get it." Suddenly, a dark figure rushes past Jugok, leaving him stunned. A slash tears through the night sky, cutting through the henchman, revealing Uyan's cool face like a savior's arrival. He lightly touched his foot to the ground, leaving a slash across the subordinates. They panicked, stammering, "Who are you?" But before he could know, a slash cut across him, and Uyan emerged from their corpses. Sweat dripped from Jugok as he stared, mind racing. Only one man in the history of Shuzhong had ever been granted that title. The only man in history. Even the Taoist master Zhang Sanfeng, the founder of Wudang, who became an immortal, Bodhidharma, who founded the Shaolin Temple, and even the heavenly demon, creator of the demonic sect and master of the 100 ghost troops, could not obtain that title. But there's no denying they were martial artists who shook the world. Chuguk trembled as he looked at the man before him, muttering, "What kind of martial arts is that?" Then he thought, but only the undefeated god never lost. That's why he became a legend. Samta slumped to the ground, his legs no longer able to support him. His voice tinged with resentment. "Why are you so late?" Uyan asked, a bit impatient. "So noisy." Samta pointed an accusing finger at the cloaked figures. "It's their fault." Chugok recoiled at those words, his voice laced with panic. "What have we done?" Uyan suddenly interjects. "You're with the Black Sword Society?" Chugok trembled, stepping back. "Yes, we are disciples of the Black Sword Society. Knowing that, you still intend to stop us?" He slowly approached, saying, "Collecting trash just creates more trash." Chugok quickly retorted, "We're not useless," but Uyan impatiently cut him off. "You talk too much. Prove your disagreement." He recalled Uyan's movements, how a few powerful strikes left his opponents lifeless, a sight that Trang found incredibly valiant. In the silent forest, Samte couldn't disagree more. "Great, my foot. He's just dog poop, a monster, not a person." Gontran was a little confused. "Dogvex? Is that how you refer to your master?" Samte stated matter-of-factly. "I'd say that about the Emperor when he's not around." "What's the problem?" Gotrang is a little displeased with him. "Huh, what was that? Look at this peasant. They're already grabbing each other's collars and cursing each other out. Samte, huh? Peasant, have you forgotten who saved you? You dare speak ill of your master, you wretch. How can a slave speak ill of his master? You deserve a beating, you busybody. I've never met anyone so nosy." Suddenly, Uyan's voice silenced them, and Chugok's bruised face appeared before their eyes. Looking disheveled, Uyan casually said, "Let's go home." The next morning, the government soldiers were in an uproar. Nearly all the imprisoned criminals were dead, and the few survivors were barely clinging to life. As for the governor, he vanished without a trace of intrusion. To find him, a search party was dispatched, turning Yue Yang upside down. In a tavern, members of the Black Sword Society began to murmur, "Poor governor, I'm sure he's met his end somewhere." "Hey, don't say that." They continued to voice their opinions, saying he was a great man who insisted on punishing the Black Sword Society, even knowing they would retaliate. They were all deeply moved by the governor's actions. Yes, he was truly brave. One drunken man was determined to join the search party, refusing to believe such a great man could die at the hands of the Black Sword Society, slamming his fist on the table. "Yes, that's right." Then wiping away tears, he thought, "Just thinking about it drives me crazy." "Governor, please be safe." Elsewhere, at a secluded villa, Gotrang stood dumbfounded, seemingly unable to comprehend what was happening, while Hua Cheon-Wu eyed him warily, whispering to the person beside her that a stranger was staring at them. Unaware of what's happening, Gotrang stares intently at the child Uyan is holding. The benefactor's daughter, no doubt. After a moment, he thought to himself that they didn't look alike at all. She seemed a little shy. At that moment, Seomi spoke hesitantly. "Hello, I'm Hua Seomi." Overjoyed, Gotrang replied, "I'm Hong Gotrang, and I have a child your age. Come over sometime. I think you two would be great friends." So Mi seemed a little flustered. Meanwhile, Uyan is talking to the child, and if you get bored, you can make her laugh. Over here, Gong seems to be imagining something else entirely. She's so adorable. It would be wonderful if she became my daughter-in-law. Uyan sensed something and shot a murderous glare, causing him to avert his eyes, unreachable elsewhere. His subordinate bowed deeply, voice trembling. "Yes, master." Samakan was puzzled. "Didn't you say all the prisoners were dealt with?" He rubbed his head, sounding annoyed. "That governor's missing." I don't think they failed. The subordinate quickly tried to correct him. Yes, my men have searched the entire area, but found nothing. Sama's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he asked, do you think they're dead? Sir, that possibility is extremely small. They completed their mission. Maintaining secrecy was all that was left to do. Sama interrupted, but we can't be sure if that mysterious martial artist or someone else took care of them. His subordinate stammered, but according to the last message received, they didn't mention anything like that. Above all, if that mysterious martial artist truly exists, there's no way they could have smoothly killed all the prisoners and then kidnapped the governor. Sama-kan was now a little skeptical, his voice sounding uncertain. Really? Why did things have to get so complicated? I don't like what's happening. I'll send another squad to search. Sakan is interested in finding those good at hiding. We'll turn Hunan upside down, so pick those with experience. Yes, master. Meanwhile, Uyan ordered his subordinate Sam T to protect the manor and keep an eye on the bound leader from Nakduong, summoning troops to depart for that place in 3 days. You mean Black Sword Manor? Uyan asks. Mount Tianzi, the Black Sword Society's main headquarters. I will go there myself. Uyan's eyes shone with determination. Wotrang and Samti were stunned. Don't worry about me, worry about yourselves. You can't even beat those guys. How shameful, Uyan said, comforting them. Then, with a wave of his hand, he turned and left, saying, at least train so you don't get your asses kicked. Aren't you ashamed at your age? Samta stood there, his fist clenched, trembling with anger, as Uyan had used him as an example. The next morning, in the mountains, a pair of feet slowly made their way along a trail. Mayan looked around, thinking that after so long at the estate, coming here was truly breathtaking. When I was young, I used to wander alone through places like this, knowing only martial arts. He thought of his tightly clenched fist as a child and looked at his own hands now. Why was I so obsessed with power back then? He thought of Somi and Samte, now a part of the joy in his life, when a voice suddenly cut through his reverie. Hey, you. A group of people suddenly appeared. I own this mountain, I planted these trees, so pay up if you want to pass. Mayan stared at the group, a bit shaken, as it had been a while since he'd been in this situation. Then said, what if I have nothing? They laughed and quickly retorted, don't be funny, grab him and search him. Before she could finish, another voice boomed, you bastards! So you're the Lucian bandits who've been terrorizing this area. The voice boomed so loud, the bandits had to cover their ears. Sure enough, a pair of sturdy legs appeared, a group ganging up on one skinny man. Aren't you ashamed of yourselves? The girl stood on a branch, hands on her hips, looking down at them like lowly beasts. One of the 8 great families, the Namgong clan, Namgong Sohi, a member of the Murim Alliance. Sohi stood there, shouting, unable to believe that a group of strong men were bullying the weak. Shame on you. The bandits below seemed confused. Who the hell are you? Why is there a woman here? Oh, are you going to take us on? Alone. Sohi leaps towards the bandits as Yuan watches intently from behind. With Yuan watching calmly, she swiftly struck the bandit, landing gracefully beside him. A gust of wind surrounded her, creating a beautiful scene. Sohai brushed off her sleeves and said, hands on her hips, you're lucky I came along. You would have been in big trouble. Yuan just stood there, intently watching the girl before him. Sohi seemed a little embarrassed. Why are you staring at my face like that? But when she looked back, she saw him looking elsewhere, at the sword. Yaoyan gave a gentle smile and said, your swordsmanship is good. Sohai thought to herself that he must be amazed by her extraordinary swordsmanship. She smugly said, I've heard that a lot. But before she could finish, she noticed that he wasn't paying attention to her and was instead examining the bandits. So he suddenly jumps up. What are you doing? Yuan replies calmly. Can't you see? I'm counting the money. She asked again, why are you doing this? He replied, they must have stolen this place from someone else. I'm just taking it back. And then he tossed the money to her. Here's yours. So he caught the coin, unsure of what to do. She studied him for a moment, thinking, what's with this guy? He's basically extorting them. Suddenly, she shouts, approaching him with a pout and holds out her hand as if it were obvious. Give me more, Uyan said calmly, his eyes closed. That's it? So he stomped her foot, displeased. You're lying. I saw you collect a ton of money. I did all the work and you took all the profit. You're ignoring me. Holding the coin, she pouted and muttered, what can you even do with just 1 niang of silver? Uyan's eyes flashed with a searching glint. Just 1 silver coin. I guess you're pretty rich. Sohai, oblivious to his gaze, happily chirped. Well, I've never gone hungry, Yuyan muttered to himself. I see. His tone dripped with sarcasm. So that's why you wield your sword with such arrogance. Sohai paused for a moment. What did you say? Then, A strong gust of wind blew past her, forcing her eyes shut, and when she opened them, he was gone. Huh. So he was a little confused. Where did he go? She was confused. What the heck? Elsewhere, in a small village at the foot of a mountain, the scene is rather desolate, and a bowl of noodles is served at a small restaurant. Wyon stared at the noodles before him, lost in thought. What a pain. I just wasted time on a troublesome person. Unbeknownst to him, he was being carefully watched from the shadows, and even those cleaning and drinking were eyeing him like prey. Having finished eating, Wyon decisively put down his chopsticks and left the noodle shop, wishing himself good fortune as he strode forward. Then suddenly stopped. Wyon falls silent, recalling how those men were secretly watching him. A sudden ringing fills his ears. Wyon's hand was now stained with blood, gripping a bloodied sword. He stood silently, gazing at the corpses beside him. Wyon muttered, "I knew this place was suspicious. They must have tampered with the food." He then stepped out of the tavern, surveying his surroundings and thinking to himself what a strange village it was. The villagers' eyes were dark and the atmosphere was grim. Wyon recalled Juguk's words. The village itself was the Black Sword Society. He paused, noticing movement around him. Suddenly, figures clad in black appeared on the rooftops, poised to strike. Wyon smirks. Here they are. Meanwhile, at the Black Sword headquarters, a subordinate rushed in to report, "My lord, we have a big problem." San was a little annoyed. "What, you found the missing guys?" The subordinate panicked. "That's not it, we're under attack." He stood there, annoyed, his voice growing sharper. "An attack? You're saying one martial artist came here to cause trouble?" The subordinate bowed deeply, stammering. "I'm not sure. There was only one enemy, but he's a powerful martial artist." Samamon's eyes flashed with killing intent. Just one person. Then he glared at his subordinate. "You expect me to believe that?" The subordinate, now even more terrified, replied with a trembling voice, "It's the truth. My lord, he's taken down over 100 disciples and is headed this way." Then, a loud noise interrupted their conversation, and Saman's eyes widened in shock as if he saw something evil approaching. From outside, Wyon dragged his blood-soaked feet, covered in the gore of others. Wyon stood at the door like a demon come to collect souls. Shimacha recognized him instantly. Sama was furious. This bastard was causing a ruckus. Black Sword Society. He's watching him carefully. Did he kill all those guys on the first floor? What's with the aura around him? It feels as though he's looking at an insect. Samakan grips the sword at his hip, knowing a test is needed to determine who is stronger. And then, as expected, Wyon quickly sent him flying into a wall without resistance. A short time later, they were all captured in that same place. Go-Trang stood there, ordering his men to clean up the mess, making sure no one was left behind, tie them up tight. Suddenly, his subordinate asked the governor, "Who are they?" Ji then explained to the person beside him, "These ruthless Black Sword Society bandits are at their headquarters, so stay sharp." "Yes, my lord." But upon hearing the shocking news, he suddenly exclaimed, "Wait, the Black Sword Society? These guys are the Black Sword Society." Gontran stated matter-of-factly, "That's right. Don't let any of them escape." The Black Sword Society members were tied to posts in the courtyard, and his subordinate acknowledged the order. "Understood, sir." He looked at them, marveling inwardly. "You can't believe what's happening before your eyes." Neither can I. Ji-Trong couldn't believe that one man could solve a problem that even the royal family and the Great Martial Arts Alliance couldn't. He was ecstatic, his eyes sparkling as he thought of his idol. "Who is it?" Suddenly, a body is thrown down behind him, and he turns around in bewilderment. He stumbled back, seeing Samakan's corpse lying before him, blood gushing from his mouth. Go-Trang was a little confused. It was a voice that had suddenly appeared. The leader of the Black Sword Society is surrounded by what seems like 1,000 blooming flowers. Union, covered in blood, stepped forward with a faint smile. "I guess I'm done here." Then he turned and walked away, saying, "I'm off. I promised Xiaomi I'd be back early." "Understood. Thank you, sir. I'll visit after I've taken care of everything." Yuyan glanced at him and spoke. "All right, don't forget." Go-Trang was a little confused. "Yes, what is it?" Then, suddenly remembering, he excitedly replied, "Yes, I'll definitely keep it a secret." A glint of warning flashed in Uyan's eyes. "No, I'm talking about their bounties." Gontran seemed a bit dazed at that moment. Yes. After a long while, the Black Sword members were finally bound, and the surrounding citizens erupted in cheers. "They've finally been caught. Rotten hell, you evil bastards." The crowd began to murmur, unaware of a shadow above. So he pondered from the rooftop. Something wasn't right. The Black Sword Society destroyed. The governor must have done something great to be summoned to the palace. He found the Black Sword Society's headquarters in Tien Tucson, something even the Martial Arts Alliance couldn't uncover. It's impossible he defeated their powerful warriors with just a bunch of officials. So, Hai concluded, there must be someone behind this. But who? At the Muram Alliance, Nam Gong Chun speaks with John. I suspect the Black Sword Society's demise is no mere rumor. He agreed, convinced that a powerful martial artist was in league with the governor. This is too great a feat for a mere governor, wouldn't you agree? He concurred, believing my suspicions to be correct. After considering, Nam Gong Chun ordered, send the Phoenix Squad leader to investigate this matter, and he immediately accepted the order. Understood. Nam Gong Chun pondered that if there truly was a hidden master, they had to find and recruit them, as the martial world would be stirred up once more. John-un suggested that if she really did meet the rumored master, they should prepare to persuade them to join. He pondered, saying, we don't know if this person is amicable or not. I think that's something we need to find out. Meanwhile, in a corner of the training ground, everyone was busy with their own tasks, some clutching their stomachs. Nam Gong. So Hai lamented, I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have eaten so many sweets. She thinks of Nam Gong Chun, leader of the Phoenix Squad. What's with that pathetic look? If Grandpa saw me like this in my day, he'd kill you for sure. Nam Gong So Hai's spirit sank. But just then, a cute girl with round eyes offered her a bun. But now, Nam Gong So Hee could only stare longingly at the bun. And understanding her hunger, the little girl smiled and said, I'm full. Hearing this, Nam Gong So Hee's eyes lit up. She silently praised the kind child as Nam Gong So Hai beamed with delight. Little girl, what's your name? I'm Hua Somi. She added, what a lovely name. I'm Nam Gong So Hee. Where are your parents? I want to thank them. The child hesitates. I don't have parents. As soon as she finishes, a hand gently pats her head. Jian Uyan declared himself the child's father, casting a cold glance at the bewildered little girl who seemed about to speak but was interrupted by Nam Gong So Hai's scream. You, she recognized him from before. Jian Uyan coldly glared, not intending to answer, which silenced Nam Gong So Hai for a moment before she told herself, I'm sure. Nam Gong So Hai's mind raced, thinking, heaven sent him to help me. And with that thought, she became even more enthusiastic, much to his annoyance. I thought fate brought us together, but he coldly replied that he wasn't thankful. Rejected, Nam Gong So Hai was annoyed, but Jian Uyan remained indifferent. Showing no gratitude, she continued to pester him. Help me, she pleaded, but he coldly replied, why should I? Nam Gong So Hai quickly shouts, I saved you from the Mount Lu bandits, remember? At that moment, the little one called out to him, and he remembered the moment he was called father. Summoning her courage, Hua Somi tugged at his sleeve, the little one shyly adding, that maiden looks so pitiful. We should help her. Jian Uyan looked at her, puzzled, as the child shyly called out, Dad! That call stunned Jian Uyan, his mind echoing with the sound of tea. Meanwhile, in another district, urgent voices rang out. Come on, hurry up! Are you going to spend all day doing laundry? The rhythmic pounding of the washboard echoed as she grumbled, I can't help it. The stain won't come out. Jung snidely teases, That's not how you wash clothes. How many times do I have to tell you to be more forceful? She fumes. Want to try? You jerk, you're still so calm. Hey, I'm just trying to teach you how to do laundry. Why do you want to kill me? Still teasing? You think it's so easy to get someone to help you? Seeing Blue Eyes speechless with anger, Zhongshan rejoiced, then burst into laughter, lamenting, Why am I being treated like this? Blue Eyes recalled saying before, I can't help you for nothing. If you help with the housework while staying here, I'll pay you. She cried, I only need a few coins, as a worn pouch was thrown to the ground. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a chest of gold gleamed, 100 pieces of gold. Jian Uyan is astonished, unable to believe you gathered this much in just a few days. Hong Wan politely replies that it's nothing compared to what he's done. The hero asks about the other men, and is told that the palace apprehended them yesterday, and they likely won't survive the transfer to the Eastern Depot. Jianu Haiyan wondered if this matter was now settled, and Hong Wo confirmed it. Indeed. Just then, a commotion outside caught their attention. Seeing Hua Cheonwu playing innocently, he praised her as a kind and lovely child. Of course, I know that. Hong Wo was doubtful, though. Shouldn't you take her to the study? He was stunned, then muttered, The study? Hong explains that education is important these days, especially for young children. And what's more shameful than a kid who can't read a word and just wanders around all day? Is that so? He tried to persuade him. And wouldn't it be wonderful if they could play with friends? I know a great school in the village. I'll introduce you to them. He mumbled that he would think about it some more. Hong Wo calculated that everything was going smoothly. He could tell the man was wavering. The child who will become my daughter-in-law must at least know how to read. They talked for quite a while. Hua Shumi sits by the lake, wondering if these are koi fish. There are many interesting things in the commander's manner. At that moment, a shout rang out. Who are you? Jinjiang snapped, "This is my home. Who are you to come here? What do you want?" The child was confused, but he rudely insisted on knowing what I wanted. Just then, footsteps approached. Hong scolded, "You brat, Jinjiang, who allowed you to raise your voice?" Jinjiang stammered, and his father called out weakly, "Uncle," he fumes, "do you dare make a young girl cry? Is that how I taught you?" The boy is startled. Hongo berates him, saying he's not only mistreating a guest but causing a ruckus. Jinjiang stammers, seeing the tension. The little one steps forward, saying it's her fault. Hua Xiaomi smiled. "Uncle, Xiaomi is okay," he asked anxiously. "Huh? Are you really okay?" The little one whispers, "I'm fine, just a little surprised. But this is the friend you were talking about." "Hey, aren't you going to say hello?" he said, annoyed. He trembled with anger, wondering why. Jinjiang wondered why his father treated that boy better than him, and then he ran off crying, "Father, I hate you." A moment later, as the father and son departed, Hua Cheomi wondered, "Was that boy Hong Uncle's son?" Jian Yu Heian seemed to agree. "What do you think? Can you befriend him?" Remembering Jinjiang, he agreed, sure that Xiaomi would become good friends with him, and suggested, "How about going to the study?" Hearing that, Hua Cheomi was puzzled. "The library? I can go to the library?" Jian Yu Heian happily said, "Of course, if you want to go, you're welcome." The little one was incredibly surprised, then cheered with joy, I want to go to the study." He's happy for her. "All right, let's do it that way." Another evening arrives, the courtyard echoes with music, and I can hear the wind. Namong is skeptical if this will really be okay. Tung Thu Thu Trai is very famous in Nakduong. Jianu Haiyan was indifferent, asking what good that would do. She also wondered what was so great about that place, sighing with frustration. "You truly understand nothing of this world. The more famous the academy, the more arrogant the students. He doubts you seem to understand very well, and Nam Gung So-hee somewhat admits it." She recalls the chaos of deliberately changing her name and switching academies back then. However, in the past, she had taught them all a lesson. Despite knowing this, John Uyan is confident. After all, Seomi will be fine. She's stronger than you think, and if Seomi can't handle something, I will. Nam Gong So-hai is curious, asking if he acknowledges being So-mi's father. "Then let me give you fair warning. Are you confident you won't yield, even when faced with power?" She thought to herself, besides his martial prowess, I don't think he has anything else besides this estate. Nam Gong So-hai wondered if he could handle the nobles and officials, but it was none of her concern, as she was only staying temporarily. Jian Weian had foreseen this, and of course, he would protect the boy to the end, even if the whole world became his enemy. Suddenly, she felt a chill and turned to ask, "Did you feel a strange presence just now?" Jian Wu Haiyan remained indifferent, claiming ignorance. Nam Gong So-hai thought to herself that this only confirmed her suspicions. Only a master like her could sense such deadly energy. Indeed, the master who destroyed the Black Sword Society is definitely nearby. Just wait, I'll find you soon. The next day, baby Yunha sang a song, and Nam Gong So-hee wanted to share in that joy. "She's so happy." Hua Chomi cheerfully replied, "Yes, I remember you mentioning it. Don't worry about Chomi, just take her to the study. You have things to do in Yueyang." Nam Gong So-hai lamented his irresponsibility, wondering about her father, but decided it wasn't his concern. So she told her she was sure to make many good friends, and the little one was eager and excited. Namong So-hee also instructed her that if she encountered any bad kids, she should just hit them. Hua So-mi agrees, acknowledging the order. Still, she couldn't shake her unease, doubting the innocent child's ability to endure. But seeing the little one's bright, expectant smile, Nam Gong So-hai could only sigh and watch Hua So-mi enter the study. After worrying about the child, she thought, shouldn't I go and check around? And with that, Nam Gong So-hai departed. Unbeknownst to her, someone was lurking nearby. Inside the study, the child shyly introduced herself. "I'm Hua Cheon-mi. Please take care of me." Contrary to his expectations, none of his classmates even looked at him, but a disappointed Hua Cho-mi continued. "I hope we can all be friends," the teacher says. "All right, you can go back to your seat." The little one obediently listened and went to find a place to sit. Suddenly, Hua Cho-mi perks up, spotting someone and thinking, "It's him." She excitedly thinks, "I know him." Meanwhile, elsewhere, Namgong So-hai rejoices, "I finally found the martial artist behind this chaos," but he retorts indifferently, "I don't think you found the right person." She insisted that she was right, saying that when she investigated, she heard people whispering about seeing the one who destroyed the Black Sword Society. After begging them, they finally told me where those martial artists live. Tonight, I'll pay them a visit. Jianu Haiyan glanced at Namgong. "So-hai, have you ever heard of the Five Swords of Hunan? I'd like to invite them to join the Martial Arts Alliance if possible, but I don't know who they are. I've never heard of the Five Swords of Hunan." She was excited. As expected, they hadn't done anything significant, so the Martial Arts Alliance couldn't identify them. Perhaps they operate in secret. Nam Gong. So-hai thought that if she reported this to the Alliance, she could finally say goodbye to her life as a servant. The thought alone thrilled her, but Jian Yi-yun said, "I'll go with you." Nam Gong So-hai was doubtful. "Huh?" He said, "I want to see who the 5 swords of Hunan are too." So she made a deal. "All right, if you behave, I'll take you with me, and when we return, you'll give me lots of money." Jianu Haiyan agreed to go and observe. That night, the little one excitedly recounted learning the basics of the celestial tome. Hua Qianwu was excited, saying, "I don't know what it is, but it's fun." He smiled faintly, saying that was good. She also mentioned that I'd be learning calligraphy. It was the first time I'd ever held a calligraphy brush. He nodded. The shirt flower chattered on, then the little one gradually fell asleep. Only then did Nam Gong So-hai speak. "It seems she really likes going to the study." She also gave a reminder, but did you notice? Jian U Haiyan wondered. "What do you mean?" Nam Gong So-hai finally spoke. She spoke of what she learned but never mentioned her friends, making him think of Hua Cheon-woo's isolation. Still, she encouraged him not to worry, as it was only the first day before changing the subject. "Maybe. Anyway, we're heading to the 5 swords of Hunan's residence. Do you really want to come along?" Jianu Haiyan confirmed and said they'd depart after putting the girl to bed, and soon after, the two set off into the night. In the still of the night, with only the rustling wind as company, she treads on the grass, realizing they are the 5 swords of Hunan who annihilated the Black Sword Society. They feigned ignorance, saying they didn't know what she was talking about. "Nam Gong So-hai must think I've investigated everything. You're the ones backing the governor and destroying the Black Sword Society, right?" They scoff, saying they don't know where I heard such nonsense, but I should just go back. She clearly stated, "I am Nam Gong So-hee, leader of the Martial Alliance Phoenix Unit. Furthermore, I understand you don't want to reveal yourselves to the world, but the Martial Arts Alliance leader wishes to meet you." They were puzzled. The leader of the Murim Alliance, Nam Gong So-hai, replied hopefully. "Yes, and I hope you won't refuse this request or the Black Sword Society's bounty," the leader says coldly. "I don't know who leaked that information," Mogjin admits. "But yes, we were the ones who destroyed the Black Sword Society." She rejoices. "Really? Then please show me." But Nam Gong So-hai wondered to herself, begging with her words yet questioning in her heart. Could it really be them? Their aura feels only second rate, not yet first rate. I think even I could defeat them easily, so she suggests. But first, can you show me the technique you used? Nam Gong So-hai hesitated, wondering if they could defeat the Black Sword Society. He was furious, asking if she doubted them. Suddenly, the ground beneath them cracked. "Hi, devil, do you still doubt us?" Nam Gong So-hai hesitated, astonished by their silent destruction of the tree. Masters of such power could easily conceal their abilities. He refused, saying, "Return, if you still have doubts." She hastily explained, "That's not it, I just wanted to be sure." Madok Jane firmly said, "Please leave." Nam Gong So-hai hesitated, waiting a moment as he examined the broken tree trunk, finding not a single gap. Meanwhile, at an inn, someone mentioned the 5 swords of Hunan. Madok Chen revealed that after the Black Sword Society was defeated, rumors spread that they were the masterminds helping the governor, and that name suddenly appeared. "I've never heard of them," Mujin replied coldly. "Us too." But as soon as he said that, he was suddenly struck with a painful blow. Ma Deoksheon roared, "You think we came here to talk about nonsense like this? Forgive me," he muttered. "But the 5 swords of Hunan wiping out the Black Sword Society is highly likely anyway." Ignoring him, Ma Dok Chen grew even more irritated. How dare this bastard ignore his master's words? Annoyed, he says, "I'll check it myself, keep them under surveillance." His men agree. "Yes, master." Meanwhile, in his thoughts, Gun Mujin vowed that if he ever had the chance to choose his master, he would never serve someone like him. In a dreamy scene, jacaranda flowers bloom in a dreamy purple hue as a cute little bird perched on a branch overhears the farewell. Nam Gong So-hai says to Jianu Haiyan, "It's a shame I can't say goodbye to Xiaomei in person." She reluctantly said, "It's a shame, but I need to return the 5 swords of Hunan to the Martial Arts Alliance as soon as possible." Jian Uyan replied, "I'll pass on your farewell to Xiaomei." Under her curious gaze, Jian Uyan tossed Nam Gong So-hai a pouch, saying, "Take this." Nam Gong So-hai opened it and was stunned. "I thought he'd give me a few coins, but he gave me gold." Seeing the bag of gold he threw her, she quickly changed her attitude. "You look much better today than your usual grumpy self." Jian Uyan looked at her helplessly. Nam Gong So-hee turned and waved goodbye, grateful for everything that had happened. Nam Gong So-hai took a few steps and said, "Jian Uyan, take care." The scene changed, and Jian Uyan took Hoasomi's hand as they walked. The little one looks up and asks, Then will Xiaomei never see her again? Jian Uyan looks down at the child and says, "If fate wills it, we shall meet. If not, then we won't." Her innocent voice questioned the meaning of his words. What does that mean? Jian Uyan replies, "I don't think this is the last time you'll see her." He asks, "You'll see her again soon, don't you think?" Little Blossom happily asks, "Really? Father wouldn't lie to me, would he?" Jian Uyan assures her that he isn't lying, gazing at her as he recalls Xiaomei remembering Hua Somi playing with Nam Gung Sohee. Hua Somi laments that living together would be much more fun, and Jian Yuheon asks if school is still okay. "Yes, it's great," Hua Soseom said cheerfully. Jian Uyan patted her head. "I know it's not easy to fit in with everyone. However, they won't be the only people you meet in your life." The child looked up at him silently, seemingly unable to fully grasp the meaning of his words. Little Shimei reassured him, "It's okay. I'm your daughter. I won't get discouraged so easily." Jian Yuheon looked at her and smiled softly. "That's right. You're a strong child." But in his heart, he ached at her understanding. He worried that, though only 7, she was far too mature for her age. It wasn't necessarily bad, but in some ways it made her seem so pitiful. Jian Yuxuan leaned down and said, "I am Jian Yuxuan, and you are Jian Xiaomei, my daughter. I will protect you at all costs, so don't worry about anything and just live happily." The little girl repeated after him, "Duan Tiu Mai." Jian Yuxuan pinched her cheek and asked if she understood. Little Shirt frowned slightly in pain and replied, "I understand." In the heart of the bustling town, a group of martial artists drew the eyes of nearly every passerby, sparking hushed whispers. Are they martial artists? Madeokjin's group carries an oppressive aura. As John Wyan enjoys a candied hawthorn, he watches them pass, impressed. They radiate an incredible power. An underling reports to Ma Dukchen, "Boss, we've located the 5 swords of Hunan." The henchman continued, "They're 18 miles north of Luoyang, heading towards the northern lake. It's Nam Gong So Hai and the Devil Clan." Upon hearing this, Ma Dukchen's eyes turned sinister as he told his henchmen, "Good, let's see how strong they are." And then, right in the middle of town, they vanished, leaving only dust in the air, their conversation overheard by Jian Uyan. Stroking his chin, he muttered, "Impressive hearing. I overheard their conversation, and it seems I've stumbled upon something quite interesting." He thoughtfully calculated 18 miles north. Meanwhile, north of Luoyang, Namgong Sohai and Ma Dokjeon's group were fleeing towards the northern lake, the setting sun painting the desolate mountains with hues of purple, orange, and gold. They continued to run, but everyone was exhausted and covered in sweat except for Nam Gong So Hai. She ran a short distance ahead of Ma Dokjane's group, and seeing that they were all worn out, Nam Gong So Hai stopped and turned back to suggest, "Let's take a break." Hearing this, Ma Dokjeon was overjoyed, but he still pretended otherwise, saying, "If that's what you wish, my lady, we have no choice, even though we could go on for 3 days straight." Nam Gong So Hai asked, "If you're not used to walking, shall we use light footwork?" But Ma Dokjane denied it. Nam Gong So Hai observed them, secretly judging their suspicious behavior. She was beginning to suspect something. Something still bothered her, but she had witnessed their abilities firsthand. Nam Gong So Hai decided to put it aside for now, setting aside her suspicions despite their questionable behavior. At that moment, several mysterious darts flew toward Nam Gong So Hai, but she swiftly deflected them with her sword. They scattered on the ground, Nam Gong. So Hai looked down at the darts and wondered, "Hidden weapons?" Nam Gong So Hai was merely confused, while Ma Dokchen's group fearfully hid behind her, chattering amongst themselves. "What was that?" one person asked, trembling. "What just happened?" Standing on a higher rock, Ma Dokchen's group had arrived. Nam Gong So Hai looked up, momentarily stunned by the group, and inquired about their origins, to which Ma Dokchen tersely replied. Nam Gong So Hai, from the Huangryong martial stage, surmised that this must be Ma Dokcheon, one of the top 50 from the stage, a name known to all in the martial arts world. Nam Gong So Hai replied respectfully, "It's an honor to meet Senior Ma Dukchen." He crossed his arms and said, "Looks like the up-and-comers know my name." It was then that Nam Gong So Hee noticed the man beside him, none other than Quan Mujin, the Golden Lion Fist, standing next to Ma Dokchen. Ma Dokchen then noticed the group behind her, asking if they were the ones who defeated the Black Sword. His words gave Nam Gong So Hai a glimmer of hope, and she began to strategize. "That's right. If I join forces with the masters who defeated the Black Sword, I still have a chance to win." Namgyong. So Hai barely got a word out before Mad Jane stole the spotlight, introducing them. Indeed, Namho's 5 swords overheard Mad Dog Jine's boastful voice, and she grimly thought, "Perhaps today is my end." The hope of victory that had just sparked was completely extinguished by his words. The story begins a few days prior when Maiden told his men that this was their chance to make a fortune, boasting that even the Martial Arts Alliance was no match for them. Who do you think my boss is? I'm W. Wong, and you're Ma Wong, Sam Wong, So Wong, Oh Wong. We're brothers and sisters of the same blood. Have we ever failed before? Mad Dog. Jine plots. We'll take the reward for eliminating the Black Sword Association leader, then flee west. One of the remaining underlings speaks with a shred of reason. But boss, our opponent is the Namgong clan. He hugged the tree and snorted coldly. Screw the damn Namgong clan. Pausing for a moment, he continued. Let's set the entire Muram alliance ablaze. His men, each sitting at the base of a tree, hung their heads, offering no further resistance. For him, running into Namgong, Sohai was a coincidence. But for us, who know why she came to the music hall, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity granted by the heavens. If the job is successful, we can live comfortably for the rest of our lives. Upon meeting them in the forest, Namgong Sohai asked, Are you the 5 swords of Hunan who defeated the Black Sword Society? Madodog Jin stepped forward and replied, I don't know where you heard that. But yes, we're the ones who wiped out the Black Sword Society. As he finished speaking, he and his men exchanged glances. Namgong Sohai believed she had truly met the ones who defeated the Black Sword Society, but she wouldn't realize the deception until later. Mogan thought to himself that the strategy was a success. Back in the present, Madodog Jin encouraged himself, saying that after coming this far he couldn't fail, especially after deceiving Namgong So H. There's no way Madodog Jin wouldn't fall for it. He roared at Mado Jin, asking how dare a nobody like him stand in their way, but Mado Jin just laughed as if he'd heard a joke. A gnat of the demonic sect, you're amusing. Probably no one has dared to see him that way in half a lifetime. Mado Chen spoke with an earth-shattering volume, causing his opponent to cover his ears, unable to bear it. I rushed all the way from Shangxi just to see you, so show me the power of those who defeated the Black Sword Society. Don't worry, he reassured his subordinate. I'll take care of everything. Then, drawing his sword, he stepped forward and arrogantly told Madeok Chen, My sword is undefeated. You'll die the moment I swing it. Are you ready? Maduk Chen said to him. Come on then. With sword in hand, Madok Chen said firmly, Do you truly not value your lives? He continued, If that's the case, and with a wave of his hand, the heaven and earth crimson sword unleashed a cloud of white smoke, concealing his movements. Namgong Sohai was stunned to realize it was a smoke bomb, and at the same time she heard him signaling his men to run. Namgong Sohai watched them go, desperately trying to stop them, but none of them even bothered to look back. Namgong Sohai was stunned, her jaw nearly dropping. What in the world was happening? Ma Doc Chen clutches his face, laughing. The martial alliance is nearing its end. Who knew the Phoenix Force leader would be fooled by a bunch of fools? Namgong Sohai gritted her teeth in anger, saying this was impossible. But Ma Dokchin can't stop laughing. How dare you make us run like that? He then ordered his men to kill them without a trace. The 2 men acknowledged the order, drew their swords, and sped off to carry it out. Now seriously, Ma Dokchen tells Namgung Sohee, entertain me at least, or choose a gruesome death. Having killed the imposter, Gumujin thinks to himself, damn it, the rumored mystical martial artist doesn't exist. I thought he was a master who could make Ma Dokjin kneel, but I was fooled by these bastards. A voice rings out, momentarily stunning Guan Mujin. Is the sky finally falling? Jian Wuyan emerged from the space door, picked up a piece of wood, looked at it, and said, their tricks are quite interesting. A pity. Jian Wuyan added, by the way, it's been a long time since I've seen such skill. Startled, Mujin retreated, asking defensively, who are you? Get back to the battle. Ma Dokcheon swung his massive sword effortlessly, making it difficult for Namgung Sohee to defend. She gripped her sword with both hands, bracing against his blow. Namgong Sohai realized his one-handed swordsmanship was already astonishing, but his speed was even more so. And Ma Dokchen lunged again. Namgong Sohai concluded that his skills lived up to his brutal reputation as Ma Deokcheon raised his blade and sneered. How disappointing. Is that all the Namgong family swordsmanship amounts to, Namgong? Sohai weakly retorted, my weakness does not define my entire family. Ma Deokcheon scoffed. Still so defiant? Don't be arrogant just because the Sword King is from the Namgong clan. It's clear that Namgong Sohee is losing this fight, as her sword falls from her grasp and she collapses to the ground. Ma Dukchen points his sword at Namgung Sohee, saying, the martial world belongs to the strong. The defeated have no voice and must bow before the victors. Namgong Sohai in despair says, just kill me. Ma Dukchen questioned, really? If those are your true feelings? Just as he swung his sword to end Namgong, Sohai, Ma Dukchen roared, die! But an external force deflected the sword's path. Jian Wuyan approached, clutching Gun Mujin by the collar, looking down at her. You dropped a coin. He continued. You said you wanted to go to Henan, but you haven't even left Yueyang yet. Jian Wuyan knew this would happen, a voice said. I told you. But your eyes were blinded by fame, and you couldn't see anything else. Ma Dukchen looked down at Jian Wuyan's hand, which was grabbing Gun Mujin's collar, and asked, what happened to him? Jian Wuyan throws Quan Mujin to the ground, and Ma Dukchen continues, the way you defeated Quan Maojin, you've made a grave error. He slings his broadsword over his shoulder. I challenge you. You've come seeking me, Ma Dukchen, and you truly aren't afraid for your own sake, are you? Jian Wu Haiyan stood silently before him. Namgong So Hai, who had just coughed up blood, weakly stood up to observe, her eyes wide with disbelief that he could defeat Guan Maojin. He knows martial arts? Namgong So Hee thought back to when she first met him on the road to Heavenly Mountain, and not long after the Black Sword was subdued, a realization that came too late. Don't tell me that's him. Gan Yuyan approaches and picks up Namgong So Hai's sword from the ground. She decided to unravel the mystery herself. Who are you, really? Jian Wuyan didn't answer, saying, I'll borrow your sword for a bit. Namgong So Hee was shocked. Hey, don't tell me you're planning to fight Ma Dukchen alone? Jian Wuyan looked at her sword and stated confidently, Don't worry, I'll end this quickly. He pointed his sword at Ma Dukchen, his voice laced with a confidence few possessed. Pick up your sword. Enraged by his words, Ma Dukchen roared, Jian Wuyan, you arrogant bastard! He swung his great sword like a rope in the air, screaming at Jian Wuyan. Seeing Ma Dukchen prepare to swing his sword, Namgong So Hee shouted, trying to signal Jian Wuyan. Do you know who I am? Dodge it, she thought. No matter how strong he is, that flimsy sword won't withstand Ma Dukchen's great sword. Ma Dukchen prepared to swing, but Jian Wuyan stood still, showing no intention of dodging. Namgong So Hai worried for her sword, knowing it couldn't withstand such a massive blade. Jian Wuyan effortlessly parries with Namgong So Hee's sword, a blade dwarfed by Ma Dukchen's great sword. He asked, Do you know who I am? Jian Wuyan replied, I know very well. You're just a weakling with too much confidence, aren't you? Ma Dukchen wields his massive blade with both hands to strike, while Jian Yuhyun effortlessly deflects the blow with a slender sword, using only one hand. Namgong So Hee was astonished that he so easily blocked Ma Dukchen's greatsword with his own blade. With a few swings of his sword, Jian Wuyan reversed the situation, turning defense into offense, leaving Ma Dukchen at a sudden disadvantage. Ma Dukchen was shocked. Few could match his strength, yet Jian Wuyan easily countered his attacks. Caught off guard, Ma Dukchen couldn't believe it. It was impossible that he could fight him so easily. Once again, he attacked Jian Wuyan, who easily blocked the blow. This time, Jian Wuyan broke the suffocating silence. I thought you'd try to use speed to overcome the monotony of a greatsword. An interesting idea, but by focusing on speed, you failed to maximize your power. Sweat beaded on Ma Dukchen's face as he coughed, thinking to himself, one day I felt the limit of relying on the greatsword's weight. From then on, I focused entirely on increasing my speed to overcome its limits, so I could wield this greatsword as easily as a twig. He roared in anger, each curse accompanied by a swing of his greatsword towards Jian Yu. What do you even know? How dare you belittle all my efforts, you bastard! With every swing, Jian Yuyan was quick enough to evade. With the final strike, Jian Yuyan parried, blocking the blow and flicking it away as if brushing a leaf from a tree. Jian Yuyan says, I never underestimated it. Your speed just can't compare to mine, and that greatsword isn't strong enough. Once again, blocked by Jian Wuyan, Ma Dukchen's broadsword cracks at the point of impact. Ma Dukchen stared in disbelief at his sword, as Jian Wuyan continued, So, I'm simply stating your worthlessness. And with that, Ma Dukchen's greatsword shattered before his very eyes. Then Jian Wuyan unleashed a flurry of attacks upon Ma Dukchen. Jian Wuyan scoffed, telling him to train for another 1,000 years before facing him. With nothing to defend himself, Ma Dukchen was struck by every blow, finally coughing up blood. Before Namgong So Hai's disbelieving eyes, Ma Dukchen is killed on the spot by Jian Yun, who then throws her sword back to her. Namgong So Hee hesitantly asks, Were you the one who defeated the Black Sword? Jian Wuyan stares at her in silence, his tone reproachful. She continued, Why didn't you tell me? Jian Yu Haiyan didn't answer, instead saying, Don't worry about meaningless things. Sometimes it's best to ignore what you see or hear. Namgong So Hee blushed, looking down, unable to meet his gaze, and remained silent. Jian Wuyan turned and walked away, telling her to consider herself lucky for surviving her reckless attempt to face that opponent with her swordsmanship. The sun has fully set, and the night cloaks the forest in a desolate, lifeless gloom. In the darkness, a battered figure hobbles along on bare feet, using a cane for support. That person was Mujin, who trembled as he struggled to follow Jian Yuyan. Sensing footsteps behind him, he turned to Mujin and asked, "Why are you following me?" Mujin bowed slightly, hesitant. "Please, allow me to follow you." Witnessing such a majestic battle, Mujin marveled at the world's powerful figures, but few could treat Mujin like a mere child. Clenching his fist in elation, he thinks he's finally found him and earnestly pleads, "You can take me to new heights. Please, allow me to serve you." Seeing he didn't respond, he approached him, saying, "Hello." Mujin pleaded with Jian Yuyan, "Can you hear me? Please, take me in." But he only casts a cold glance and ignores him. Mujin, undeterred, pleaded, "Please, let me follow you." But the unyielding Jian Yuyan retorted, "I said no." But Mujin stubbornly replied, "It's all right, I will follow you even if I'm rejected." Hearing this, he remained silent, staring without a word. The boy mustered all his strength to say, "If you won't accept me, then..." Before Mujin could finish, Jian Yiyun struck him in the gut, declaring, "Kill!" This kick sends Mujin sprawling, unable to rise, though he earns a sliver of respect. This kid is strong, and seeing that determination, Jian Yuyan recognizes the hatred in his eyes. He frowns, remembering his past self, like he's looking at who he used to be, and also seeing that previous relentless effort. His eyes revealed he'd do anything to climb higher. However, Jian Yuyan chose not to help. Pride is important to a martial artist, but the more hatred he harbors, the more dangerous he'll become. If he can't control his emotions, he won't last long. Something Jian Yuyan noted. But he resolutely turned and left, still troubled by what had transpired. Those actions gave Yuyan a familiar feeling, reminding him of the old Jiang Hu. With that thought, he flew away. After a while, Gun Mujin woke up, blinded, and splashed with water. Seeing that he was awake, the man asked, "Are you awake now?" Ma Duchen's men stared intently as they splashed water on him, and a confused Unman wondered what was happening. Without another word, he kicks him and demands answers. The traitors didn't stop there. They continued to curse and beat him, saying they saw everything, "You ungrateful wretch. I took you in and raised you from the brink of death, and this is how you repay me." Beaten to a pulp. But Mujin just smiled and retorted, "Raise me? Who did?" Hearing such words, he bitterly recounts, "You abandoned me like a dog. You're just pathetic trash, lashing out in anger because my reputation far surpasses yours." Enraged by the insult, Madojin scowled and asked, "How dare you defy your master, you lowly cur?" But Gun Mujin remained defiant, retorting without looking up. "Master, I spit on you. You're just vermin trying to kill your subordinate. No, you're worse than vermin." Unable to endure any longer, he stepped forward and took up his weapon. "You wretch with your foul mouth." Madukchen raises his weapon. "If that's what you want, I'll grant you the most painful death imaginable." Immediately, Mujin severed his restraints and struck out at his captor. This was enough to send Ma Dokchen into a blind rage. "Trash, still struggling even as you face death?" He lunges, but Mujin is using his skills. I must stay calm. His movements will slow due to his internal injuries. Seeing his chance, Mujin seizes the moment, raising his sword to strike Ma Dokchen's eye. This strike caused him to scream out in agony. "My eye! He struck my eye!" With the deed done, he tiptoed away, and Ma Duchen, seeing his escape, ordered his men to give chase. "Damn it, what are you doing? Go after him and bring me his head." Not forgetting to curse Mujin as a mongrel, he manages to escape, but his body is on the verge of collapse. Gazing at the distant road, Mujin despaired, thinking, "My eyes are open, but I can't stop." Still, he ran with all his might, even as his body failed him. With his last breath, Mujin could only think, "I must live." But his strength failed him, and he collapsed, still determined to become the strongest. The next day, as Somi strolled through the city, she asked, "Where shall we go today?" The little one smiled brightly, saying, "I'm so happy to be friends with Jay." And she cheerfully replied, "Me too. Is that right, Somi?" Suddenly, Siomi spots something and tugs at his sleeve, acting cute. "Let's get some sweets and dumplings. I'll buy the sweets and you can get the dumplings." But Jinrang retorted, annoyed, "What? Why should I buy you any? And dumplings are more expensive." Not stopping there, the girl and Jack whined that Dayak wanted to eat. Left with no choice, Jinrang agrees. All I have to do is buy them buns, right? The two of them succeed and are overjoyed. "Wow, thank you, Jinrang." He heads to the shop to buy them the buns. "2 buns, please." But then, the girl saw something that made her turn back. A sound ahead piqued her curiosity. I heard a sound coming from here, something that made her stop for a moment. It was evening in the bustling city. Jian Yuyan found it strange and grew worried as he went to investigate. "School's out. Could something have happened to her?" Seeing him, the shopkeeper greeted him. Hello? Guy on you asks, "Hey, have you seen my daughter?" The owner recognizes him and replies, "Oh yes, the young lady came by with a friend to buy snacks. I saw them buying buns about an hour ago." Having gotten the information, he retraces her steps from an hour ago. Thanks. Following his instincts, John Uyon arrives at the place he was looking for. The steamed bun shop must be this way. He arrived to find a familiar figure doing something here, and Somi was struggling with something, on the verge of tears. Seeing the girl like that, he couldn't help but wonder. What are you doing at this hour? There are plenty of medicinal herbs growing right here. So, they're trying to heal the gravely injured Gun Mujin. Help me. So, Xiaomi asks for his help. I want to save him. Cut. The three children gathered, looking worriedly at Quan Mujin. Hua Su-mei asked hesitantly, "What should we do?" Even after using all sorts of herbal medicines, he's not getting any better. Jin Jiang, though worried, couldn't help but grumble. How did he get so badly injured? He's a martial artist after all. The braided girl hearing this said, "Jinrang, stop complaining." She sat down and examined Guan Mujin, but saw no signs of improvement. Jin Jiang touched his face again, but the result was the same. Seeing the situation, she turned to him and suggested, "Shouldn't we bring the governor here? At this rate, he'll die." Jin Jiang replied helplessly, "Even if we called them, it would be useless. It seems there was a conflict between the fighters. The 6 ministries don't handle things like this." Only the little one looked at Mujin with a thoughtful expression. Remembering his own past, Hwasomi thought he was just like he used to be. Suddenly the little one spoke up, startling them both. Hwasomi smiled gently and said, "I want to save him." Meanwhile, the child had fallen asleep on him while waiting. Jian Uyan quietly approached, gazing at Mujin on the ground, vaguely recalling his name. He was unconscious and severely injured, his fate uncertain. Uyan recalls meeting Mujin, muttering, "Wasn't his name Minujin or something?" He was so pathetic back then, begging with that desperate look, "Please, let me follow you." He knelt gently asking, "Do you want to save this person?" Waking up, Hua Cheon-woo nodded. "Yes." Jian Uyan gently took the child's hand and asked why. With tears welling up in her eyes, Hwasome choked out, "Because he looks so lonely." And he slowly replied. And tears streamed down Hwasomi's cheeks as she sobbed, certain that he was scared and didn't want to die. Seeing this, Jian Uyan felt awkward and quickly picked up the child to comfort her, saying, "Okay, I understand." Having understood the situation, he instructed, "You must be tired. I'll take care of this man. Go get yourselves cleaned up at the inn over there." Jinjong and the girl with the pigtails responded in unison. "Okay." He and the girl with the pigtails led Somi away, gently comforting her. "Don't cry anymore, let's go." "Seomi," Hwaseomi wiped away her tears and responded. Jian Uyan glanced at the unconscious Mujin and sighed, muttering, "That guy's really lucky." The scene shifts to a crescent moon in the clear sky, as the night wind whispers outside the mansion. At this moment, a gloomy Hwa Somi sat in Jian Uyan's arms, who noticed her expression and asked, "What's wrong? You seem sad. Are you worried? Will he be saved?" Jian Uyan hesitated. "I'm not sure. I've done all I can." He looked into the distance and said softly, "Whether he makes it or not is up to him." Hwa Somi remained worried, hoping her uncle would pull through, and Jian Uyan looked at her gently, reassuring her. "You've taken such good care of him. He's sure to make it." Hearing this, Hwa Sosom's face lit up. "Really?" he gently replied. "That's right." At that moment, a golden light appeared around the child, and through Jian Uyan's eyes, Hwa Somi looked like a little angel, as he softly said, "Because you are a child of good fortune." The little one tilted her head, confused, and innocently asked, "Luck?" Jian Uyan chuckled, "Don't worry about it." Suddenly, the child springs up, excitedly declaring, "Then I'll go take care of him now." Meanwhile, having overheard their conversation, Zhang Shante is left with some doubts. "Sir, he's on the verge of life and death. If you say that, won't the little girl be even more saddened if he dies? I know she'll be sad if that happens, but who knows? Maybe he'll survive and make her happy." Hearing that, Zhang Samte exclaimed in disbelief, "If he survives, I'll give you all my assets." Unexpectedly, he asked, "Really?" Hearing that, he was startled and panicked. "Huh?" With a hint of jest, Ian Wyon asked, "I'm asking if you really meant you'd give me all your assets if he survived." Hearing his confident words, Samte froze in silence. The words snap him out of it, and a flicker of doubt crosses his eyes as he mutters, "Is he trying to bait me into a bet? He's really going to survive?" He quickly laughed it off. "Come on, I was just kidding." Hearing that, he said with some disappointment, "Is that so? What a shame." Jiang Shante inquired, "But will he really live?" "But he looks like he's about to die." Jian Yuhayan simply smiled at that. He quietly said, "Don't you know she was born with great fortune?" At this moment, Hua Xiaomi was tending to his bedside, her small hands rubbing in her mouth as she muttered a prayer. Please get well soon. Hearing Jian Weian say that, he was a little confused. What do you mean? It's rare for a baby to be born without cause and with the blessing of the stars. Those born with a star's blessing and great fortune are known to live a life of misfortune until their luck shines. And for that to happen, they must lose their parents or starve to the brink of death. But she met me, and that star-blessed destiny began to unravel. Even everything she touched was blessed with good fortune. Cut to a few days later. In the clear water, koi fish swim freely under the moonlight in the healing room. Mujin suddenly awakens, finding himself in an unfamiliar place, utterly confused. Mujin muttered, "Where am I? No, more importantly, am I alive?" Suddenly a child appears, exclaiming, "You're alive!" Startled, he looked over, curious. "You saved me?" With sparkling eyes, Hua Soshum waved his hands excitedly, saying, "I found you, uncle, but my father saved you." The child quickly gathered his things, eager to deliver the news. "I'll go tell my father and his subordinate that you've been revived." Startled, he exclaimed, "Wait!" Mujin looked at Blossom with confusion, asking, "Your father? Subordinate? What are you talking about?" Meanwhile, at the Muram Alliance, Gun asked, "So you've found the one who defeated the Black Faction?" After hearing her grandfather's question, Sword King Nam Gong Chun, Gong So-hee lowered her head, thinking that there are times when people need to ignore what they see or hear in this world. Gong So-hee recalled the moment she fought Yuyan. He had definitely said that. She finally spoke. "That's right." Gong So-hee looked up, her eyes sharp, and replied, "I found him." Upon hearing this, he was surprised and asked his granddaughter, "You found the one who conquered the Black Sword Society? But why did you return alone?" Not knowing how to answer his question, she remained silent, prompting him to ask, "So he said he wouldn't get involved with the Martial Arts Alliance?" "Yes, he said that sometimes one must pretend to hear or see nothing in the martial world." Nam Gongchun paused, then asked his granddaughter, "Is he strong?" He fought Makjine and handled him like a child, a statement that shocked Nam Gongchun, as the Mad Dog Jine was known as a tyrant, one of the top 50 of the Golden Martial Hall. Nam Gongchun pondered, so he rejected the Muram Alliance's offer. Is he part of the demonic sect? Or does he simply wish to live a peaceful life? After a long silence, Nam Gong So-hee interrupted his thoughts. "She says that Jian Yian called your swordsmanship arrogant, and Nam Gongchun's fists clench in anger. How dare he say that about the child I raised? Oh, my precious granddaughter." After his initial outburst, he regained his composure, realizing that this man had seen something the Sword King had not. Of course, it could all be nonsense, but it was intriguing nonetheless. Nam Gongchun told his granddaughter, "Well done, you did great. Go get some rest." "Yes, sir." His vision blurred. He saw the ceiling and the faint glow of lanterns. A bandaged hand rose, and a faint thought echoed. "I'm still alive? When I couldn't move, I thought I was done for." Lying in bed, lost in thought, the young man exhales as if releasing some pressure. He can still clench his fist. He's alive, and he will improve his skills as much as necessary. "You're awake?" Gian Uyan said, approaching the young man's bedside. "Judging by how you're moving, you should be fine." The young man stammered in confusion. "You were the one from before?" "I'm Jian Uyan, her father, and the one who saved you." Meanwhile, a girl in a green dress was digging around for herbs in the garden. Hearing this, the young man struggled to sit up and stammered, "You're the one who saved me?" Jian Uyan denied it, saying, "You should be grateful to that girl. Without her, you'd be dead." But tilting his head, the young man seemed to understand, his voice still weak as he replied, "I understand. Thank you very much. I owe her my life." "Looking at your wounds, it seems you were attacked by your own allies," Jian Uyan said, hitting the nail on the head. He continued, "The martial world is a place where people will do anything to survive, even betray others." Jian U Haiyan advised him, "Don't hold a grudge. If you were them, are you sure you wouldn't have done the same?" The young man lowered his head. "I understand. Forget everything. If your heart is stained with hatred, so will your sword. And ultimately, the swords of hatred are the easiest to break." The young man sat up straight and replied, "I will remember." Seeing his response, Jian Uyan turned away, leaving him with one last remark. "Then stay here and recuperate. You know you'll turn to dust if you go out in your condition, right? And don't think you'll be lazing around here. I won't allow it. Do your best to stay." The young man sitting on the bed thanked him. As Jian Uyan left, he collapsed onto the bed, thoughts racing through his mind. Had anyone ever been so kind to him before? The next moment, a commotion erupted from the front yard as Zhang Shangtai shouted at Quan Mujin. "Huh? Why?" Mujin raised his staff and shouted back, "What do you mean, why? If you wash them like that, they'll be rags in no time." Mujin told Samte to go do his own work. Zhang Shangte retorted that his job was to watch over him, smugly declaring that he was his superior. That good for nothing. Ever since that girl left, I've been doing all the housework myself. I was so happy when that slave arrived. But this guy works too hard. He's been washing those clothes for an hour. The two bicker back and forth. Zhang Samte is trying to run and tattle to Yayan. Master, I don't know what to do with this guy you picked up. He's being rude and trying to kill me. Hearing Zhang Shangi shout, Mujin loses it, grabs a stick, and chases after him, only for Zhang Shangi to screech to a halt at the gate upon seeing someone he knows. Isn't that Lord Hong? Why is he here? Without a word, Hong Quan Trang shouts at Zhang Shangtai, demanding he hand over the wanted criminal Jian Uza immediately. The scene shifts to a guard reporting to the governor with this month's list of wanted criminals. Hong pulled a wanted poster, sighed, and muttered, "Now that the Black Sword Society has fallen and the remaining thieves are fleeing, who's the unlucky bastard this time?" Suddenly, his eyes widened as he stared at the wanted poster of Jiang Samte. Hong exclaimed in disbelief, "It's him!" He clenched the wanted poster in fury, muttering, "That wretched bastard, he cursed his master, so there must be evidence. This time, I won't let him escape." Hong Wu leads his soldiers to the protagonist's location, kicking down the door. He points at Jiang Shangte, shouting, "Take this criminal away!" leaving him stunned. Jiang Samte wondered, what was he talking about? Was he being arrested for his past as a thief? No, nothing's certain yet. Time for some thick skin and an escape. Thick skin it is. Me? Are you out of your mind? He exclaimed, confused. What are you talking about? Hong shouted, still pointing at him. Don't play dumb. You've pulled enough tricks already. Suddenly he drew his sword, his eyes resolute, and declared, "Today I will end." But before he could act, Jian Ayan appeared out of nowhere and slammed Hongo's head into the ground. He looked at him coldly and asked, "What's going on here?" Turning back, he saw Jian Yuyan standing there, stammering. He whimpered, pointing at him, and said with a pathetic voice, "That kid." Zhang Shangtai angrily shouted, "What do you mean by that? Why are you barging in here and making such a fuss? Did you hit your head on the way from Beijing or something?" He recalled his past deeds, yet proudly declared, "Is there anyone with a better background than me?" Jian Yuyan spoke up. "He's definitely suspicious." Honggun held up the wanted poster, demanding, "Shut up, can you deny this?" He approached, leaned in to look at the poster, and pointed at it with a hint of confusion. Jiang Samte's crimes: murder, drug trafficking, human trafficking, embezzlement, market manipulation. Jiang Samte, that's my name. Curious, Hua Cheomi asks, "Uncle, what does it say?" He glanced at Jiang Samte's wanted poster and said, "That's you. Turn yourself in. When did you get rid of that mole?" He was bewildered as he read the crimes he was accused of, from drug trafficking to human trafficking. "You're trash. What is this nonsense?" Hearing this, the little one bravely stepped in front of Hongwo, declaring, "He's not trash. The servant can't be that kind of person." Seeing Hua So-mi's reaction, he tried to explain, "But So-mi, if you look at this." But the little one retorted, "The artist must have made a mistake. My good sir is definitely not a bad person." Hongwo continued to persuade Hua Cheomi. "No, the description fits." Despite his words, the child refuses to believe it, shouting back in protest, "Maybe they just have the same name." Hearing the words defending him, Jiang Sam was moved to tears. "COM." His eyes suddenly changed. "Okay, just a coincidence." Jiang Shang confidently declares, "Wait, I'll prove it's not me. I'll catch this bastard myself." Hua So-mi chimed in, saying that So-mi would help him too, and together they'd catch the real culprit. He exclaimed happily, "No one cares about you like So-mi does. Let's go, So-mi." The little one happily replied, "Yes." Cut to a scene of the two entering a forest. Suddenly, Hua Cheomi speaks up, "Hey, mister." The curious child asks, "Where are we going?" When he didn't answer, Hua Cheomi called out again, "Uncle?" At that moment, Jiang Shangui was deeply worried. The true dragon head. "I don't have a specific way," he stammered in response to the little girl's question. Now, regretting his impulsive actions, Jiang Shangte mutters that bringing Seomi along to catch criminals was his fault, but he can't abandon her now. He was too eager. He still doubted the wanted poster Hong Wo had issued. And furthermore, the face in that drawing really does look like me. Did I really do those things? What if I did do it without knowing? Suddenly, he heard his voice from behind. "What in the world are you trying to do?" Zhongshan exclaimed in shock. "Master?" He feigned a temporary plan, saying, "First, I'll check places like casinos." Jian Wuyan glared at him, his voice as if to reprimand him. "Why did you bring Simi?" Little Shimi innocently asks, "Can't Shimi go?" He has the Mujin soldiers take the child from Zhongshan and says, "We'll go together when you're older." He offered, "I'll take her to Yueyang if Min and I go." And little Hwacheomi excitedly replied, "Let's go." The child excitedly says, "Let's go eat buns, uncle." He softly replies, "Okay." Suddenly noticing Jian Uyon's judgmental gaze, he clarifies, "I really didn't do anything." He retorts mockingly, "I know. Do you even have the guts to do such things?" Hearing this, he asked, confused, "Then why did you say I looked like one?" With a smirk, Jian Uyon said, "Just kidding." Zhang Shangte's anger flared as he muttered, "This bastard." He spoke up, asking, "Why are you thinking so deeply?" Jian Yu repeated his words, that he was the culprit behind drug and human trafficking. Hearing that, he rested his chin in confusion. What do you mean, a bastard? They're bandits?" He looked into the distance and replied, "Yes, mountain bandits." Before the court subdued them, they only hid in one place. Jian Uyon's eyes turned sharp. He turned to Zhang Shanhe with a question. "Where would the bandits be?" Cut to Mount Yahello. He slowly enters the mountain. Observing his surroundings, Jian Yuan muses, "This place is better than I thought." He suddenly has an idea. Building a house around here would make it even more beautiful. Hearing this, he sarcastically replied, "Yeah, this place is full of robbers, so building a house would be great." Hearing that, he glared at Jiang Shan and said, "You seem to be mocking me." At this, Jiang Shan trembled, stuttering, "Damn it, it's because I'm scared, so scared." Jiang Smaita roared in anger, mixed with fear. "I have to enter the bandits' territory to be cleansed. It doesn't matter whether I'm innocent or not. What if I die there? I don't know about you, but I'm just a third-rate martial artist. When you taught Somi and Gunmujin, I only got to eat cold rice, didn't I? I see now that you're taking advantage of me and starting to nag about other things. Who made sure you were fed? It was me. I cooked delicious meals every day, didn't I? Who washed your clothes and those of Somi? It was me. Who swept the floors? It was me. Who looked after your shirts? It was me. Who does all the odd jobs in their free time? It's me. That estate wouldn't function without me, but you only ever care about Seomi and Guomo." Hearing his confession, Jian Yixian chuckled inwardly. This kid had always been secretly jealous. Seeing Jiang Samta's face turn red with anger, he praised him. "You've always been diligent." Jianu Haiyan asked, "So what do you want?" Jiang Samta hesitated. I want to become stronger too." His tone remained unchanged as he replied, "I understand. Stronger." He was confused by this. "Yes, what is it?" Suddenly, a bush moved violently. While Uyan remained unconcerned, Jiang Shangte became wary, but before he could react, he was violently pulled and unceremoniously shoved back. Suddenly, 2 arrows fly towards him, landing mere inches from Samta. "What's going on?" In the distance, a brazen voice hurls insults. "Damn it, you should be dead already. This is so annoying." He looked towards the voice, clearly on guard. "Who is it?" But before Jiang Shantai could finish speaking, the gangsters surrounded him. The sight of that depraved face sent a jolt of panic through Samta. "They're here sooner than expected. But it's all right." But as he turned to Jian Uyan with hope, he found him unconscious, his master by his side. The sight before him froze Jiang Samte in place, as Jian Uyan groggily opened his eyes and complained, "Oh God, this hurts like hell." Seeing him awake, he cautiously speaks. "What are you doing?" Jian Uyan asked casually, making up an excuse. "I was shot by an arrow and can't move anymore." Meanwhile, the robbers arrogantly shouted, "Hand over all your money!" Jiang Samte's eyes had long since widened. Why is he suddenly acting? "Stop joking around. What are we supposed to do?" He glanced around, trying to avoid the question. "Didn't you say you wanted to become stronger?" Before he could think, the sharp blade was already upon Jiang Same. "These bastards, are you not listening to me?" He frowned slightly, glaring at him. "Does he want me to go straight into combat?" Sam's gaze shifted to Jian Uyan, who remained motionless. Is he really not going to help? Fine, let's see what I can do. With that thought, his pupils strained to focus, but all he could see were the blurred figures of his captors. His hand clenched, trembling with adrenaline. At least 10 opponents, far too many for his disguise. But he refuses to surrender without a fight. Daoche scoffs at Samte's stance, then insults him while looking at the unconscious man. "You want to fight? Your man is dead. Don't you think you should just give up?" Jiang Sam is enraged by the insult to his faith. "Damn it, he must be dead. He's just closing his eyes." Hearing this, he opened his eyes in shock. "What?" Then Beardy charged forward, attacking head-on. Suddenly, the joyful smile of a young girl flashed through his mind. That's right. He'd defeated stronger fighters before. These highway robbers are right in front of him. His mouth moves unconsciously, silently encouraging Jiang Shangtai. "Don't run, dodge, if you want to get stronger." Following Jian Uyan's guidance, he successfully countered. Instantly, his body became so weak he couldn't lift his sword. When he looked up, Beardy was shocked again. What? Where did he go? A sudden gust of wind swept past him, driving Beard insane. What the hell? Jiang Sam successfully struck his vitals, sneering, and inwardly scoffing that he was slower than his master's finger flick. He was so stunned that he opened his mouth and roared. The archers in the distance watched, curious as to who this nuisance was, as his hands clenched tightly. He did it. Jiang Sam was overjoyed and confident in his achievement. Though his punch was weak, it was enough to distract them. Suddenly, a strange sound made him look back to see 2 arrows fired at once, but they couldn't hit the agile Jiang Sam. He soared into the air, watching them scramble in confusion as a hidden archer, shielded by the shadows, nocked an arrow, but before he could act, Jiang Sam confronted him. The archer's face contorted as he took a brutal punch, losing his balance and falling. The archer's landing cracked the ground, and his comrades were stunned to see him unconscious. The archer is down and Jiang Shangte is tiring, but he wipes away the sweat with a smile. What a performance! Before he could react, something flew past Jiang Shangtai, and he narrowly dodged an arrow. But a sharp arrow grazed Jiang Shangte, leaving a long, bloody gash. Then the commander's voice echoed out. "That bastard's just dodging. He's nothing. Don't let him escape." The subordinates quickly acknowledged the order. They advance all at once, like they're going to a festival brawl. How can he possibly plan an escape? Just then, that unmoving mouth speaks again. 2 steps to the right. A familiar voice startled Jiang Shang, but he trusted it and moved 2 steps to the right. Just as predicted, he dodged an attack from the shaggy-haired man, who, unable to land a hit, yelled, "You bastard! Don't you dare dodge!" Before the blur even finished speaking, Jiang Shangte unleashed a powerful punch, as if to crush him on the spot, striking the blur's chin and catching him off guard. Jiang Shangte felt a surge of joy, realizing he'd done it, while the thug lost his menacing demeanor after taking the blow. Jiang Samte held his counterattack stance, watching him as his subordinates began to panic. "The leader's down. Our leader—" That son of a bitch. Meanwhile, Yuyan awakens, his voice laced with coldness. This should be interesting. He defeated all his opponents with a single move, shocking him. As Jian Uyan landed, the bodies fell. Upon his return, he was met with a questioning gaze from Jiang Shante, who said, "I thought you were dead." But he just asked for the sake of asking, then flopped onto the ground. "Anyway, I made it through. I thought I was a goner back there," Jian Yuhian agreed. "Indeed, you avoided it. That was the purpose of this life-or-death battle. Without the threat to your life, you wouldn't be able to overcome your fear and self-doubt." Suddenly, a negative thought flashed through his mind, prompting Jiang Shangde's suspicion. "Is it possible that if I can't win and die, you won't lift a finger to help?" Yet instead of denying it, he affirmed his meaning. "Of course, if you want to become stronger, you can't rely on anyone. The difference between a master and a novice lies solely in how they wield their power." Upon hearing this, Jiang Shangtai's sharp eyes darted towards Urian. Damn it, he's infuriating, but why is he so cool? That expression is giving me goosebumps. What's with that look? It's making me feel guilty. Anyway, this guy seems to be the leader. Wake him up. He heard the instructions and obediently stepped back. Yes, a stream of cold water is splashed onto Maimuo's face, and Jian Uyan prepares to taunt him as he coughs and sputters. "So, you're finally awake?" Maimuo looked up at the familiar face, speechless. Ignoring his outburst, Jian Uyan focuses on the task at hand. "There's no time for nonsense. I have a question for you. Do you know this man?" Maimuo stared at the face in the picture, silent for a moment. Wasn't this the guy? Jiang Sam, being pointed at, screamed, "No, you bastard!" Seeing how bad things looked, he changed the subject. "Okay, forget that question. We found opium on your subordinates' bodies. Where did you get it?" The blurry-haired guy was honest, saying they got it from the black market. No sooner were the words out of his mouth than he paled, seeing the icy grip tighten. "Did you think I came all this way to joke with you? If you don't tell me the truth, I'll make you wish you were dead." The pimp began to waver. Sensing the murderous intent, he knew this man was a martial arts master and resigned himself to telling the truth. "Three Swords Gang." These words quickly shocked Jiang Samte. The Three Swords Gang. Jian Uyan showed no emotion as he probed further. "Continue." Maimuo hesitantly recounted everything, explaining that after the Black Sword clan fell, those lying in wait began to fight for power. On the surface, it seems peaceful, but in reality, the weak are constantly evolving into powerful figures behind the scenes. And among them, the Three Swords Division operates in the Hunan region. They're the ones supplying this opium. He relentlessly pries for information. "What kind of people are they?" Maimuo asked innocently, looking up. "They're incredibly strong. Even their regular soldiers practice martial arts and always wear masks, so no one knows who they are. Honestly, I never wanted to get involved with this drug trade. But they beat us to a pulp and forced us to buy it, so we had no choice. Because of them, several bandit gangs have disappeared." Jian Uyan asked with a hint of gloom, "Where is their headquarters?" but the man had no further information to offer. I don't know. They meet with us once a month, but I don't know when they'll arrive. The boy who'd been silent until now suddenly flared up. So you're telling me you know nothing? Thankfully, he was stopped by his companion, and it doesn't seem like he's lying. Give me all the opium you have. The lackey, still stunned, hesitated for a moment. Yes. Patience within Jian Yuning is being replaced by murderous intent. Can't you hear me? Give me all the opium you have. He paled with fear as he watched the flames flicker. Yes, cut to the wooden houses in Myeongyun Street. Inside the small house, a pair of gaunt hands reach out in desperation, begging for more. Outside, 2 young women hurried past, Namgong Sohee brushing past the outstretched pleading hands. Give me more. She felt a sense of aversion. Just as rumored, the poppy fields have spread to countless villages in the Hunan region, not just Mingnian. But for now, there's nothing I can do. Namgong Sohee, seeing the 2 figures blocking her path, lifted her veil in warning. Hey, if you bump into someone, you should... But the scolding died in her throat as she saw a familiar face. Agumu Jin, what are you doing here? Xiao Huaseo's eyes lit up when she saw Namgong Sohee. Little did she know of her sister's hidden discontent. What was this duo all about? Back in the forest, shrouded in darkness, the long, silent wooden door creaked open, revealing a gaunt figure burning something. The mysterious figure called from outside. Is everything proceeding smoothly? It was then that he leaned against the door, arms crossed, and confided, Are you talking about Zhang Shante? Not yet, but something's definitely fishy. Even after disguising myself as that bastard, I found nothing. Either he's hiding well or he's already dead. Provoked by this, the man roared. Impossible. You overthrew the Black Sword clan who were already dead. But Kun's anger was quickly extinguished by the mysterious figure. All right, I understand. Don't think about anything else. Focus on making the medicine, we'll find him and kill that bastard at all costs. Isn't that why we get along so well? Chu Bingai was about to explode with rage. Yes, why else would I work with trash like you? Hurry up, catch him and bring him to me. He just sighed, but the other man babbled on like a piece of trash. Understood. Hey, did you hear? It seems the government troops found the medicine when they took down the bandits. Hearing this, he stood up abruptly. Those bandits were defeated, and by those damned officials. The mysterious man casually relayed to Zhu Bingyi, I don't know for sure, but it seems they're secretly trying to send medicine back to the palace. His mood flared once more, nearly driving him mad. We have to steal it back at all costs, or they'll catch our scent. If anyone with medical knowledge examines this, my identity will be exposed sooner or later. He looked at Chu Bingyi with silent disgust. That noisy bastard. I'd love to tear him apart, but he's still useful. Fine, I'll let my subordinates handle this. Meanwhile, elsewhere, dozens of people with decaying bodies are lined up as Jian Uhian silently observes. Namgong Sohee awkwardly smiles as she pulls back the curtain, wondering how she got into this situation. She began to recall the events of 30 minutes prior to Namgong Sohai's abduction. Xiaomi, where are we going? Hurry up! She was completely bewildered to appear before him. Why am I back here? The little one excitedly continues the story. I met her on the street and brought her here. Jian Uhian questioned without hesitation. What are you doing back here? Namgong Sohai asked, displeased, but reluctantly answered, Before I answer that, can I ask you something? She pointed at Mad Dog Giant's subordinate and shouted, Why are you with him? He replied naturally, He's part of my family now. Namgong Sohai, now even more enraged, shouts at Jian Uhian, My family? How could you bring a demonic cult member into our family? Are you a cultist too? Dongban, who was listening nearby, blushed. Family? Did he just say I'm part of his family? I'm no longer part of the dark faction, so watch your words. That expression is shocking. Don't make that disgusting face. What nonsense are you spouting, Namgong? Sohai, when you're here, I'm righteous, and when he's here, I'm evil. Should I just bring a demon into the family next time? She was speechless, caught off guard. But before Namgong Sohai could stammer a response, Jian Uhian cut her off. All right, it's your turn to answer the question. She had no choice but to reluctantly sigh. Okay. A while back, when we were tracking down the guy who was producing opium on the black market, we found out that the drugs were being distributed from the Hunan region. Upon further investigation, we discovered that the situation here had become very serious. The people in these small villages are all addicted to opium, and even the larger villages have many addicts. So, after hearing this, he concludes that this is why she came to Hunan. Namgong Sohai adjusted her hat and casually replied, Yes, that's why I'm here, to track him down. This is a major issue that the head of the clan governing this territory should be involved in. But the smaller Murim sects responsible for handling this have already collapsed due to addiction. The self-proclaimed Three-Sword sect leader uses a forbidden technique to freely change faces. Her ranting is cut short by a scream. It's unbearable. To their surprise, Jiang Samte appeared, rushing towards Uyan and grabbing his collar. "My lord, that disguise technique. If someone knows how to use it, they could change their face to look just like me." He nonchalantly uttered his usual catchphrase, "Yeah, I know." Jiang Samte's face suddenly fell. "What? Why didn't you tell me?" Jian Yuan asks, not feeling the need to explain himself. Nam Gongso-hee watches him leave, questioning, "What do you know, you bastard?" Jian Huaiyan crossed his arms and turned back, seemingly aware that someone was using his face to trade opium and traffic people. This was the opium that person was selling. As she caught the bag, she realized this wasn't ordinary opium, was it? He explained that it was made using a special method, several times more addictive than regular opium. Nam Gongso-hee wondered how he got his hands on it, but Jian Huaiyan only replied vaguely, "I have my ways." Holding her hat, she looked up and questioned, "Do you have a way to catch him?" He honestly replied that while he didn't have all the information, he had a few leads. The more Namgong tries to pry, the more Jian Yuan teases. "You want to know? Then you'll have to pay a price." She quickly fell into his manipulative trap. What was it? What to give? He rubbed his fingers together, signaling, "Give me the bounty money for catching that gang leader." That sight made Namgong's eyes widen in frustration as Jian Huaiyan pretended to leave, determined to get her money. "If you don't want to, fine." Namgong. Sohai immediately stopped him. "Fine, I agree. I'll give you the money, but I have a condition." Jian Huaiyan turned around curiously, and Namgong. Sohai hesitated at the condition of that reversal. "Yes, the Martial Alliance will take all the credit once this is over. I'm almost ashamed to say it. But if things go well, the Martial Alliance can recover the reputation it lost because of the Dark Faction." He calmly uttered 2 words, "As you wish," which greatly surprised her. "What?" He actually agreed. Jian Huaiyan's words were firm. "Yes, do as you wish. You want to restore honor, which is even less than the Martial Arts Alliance's investigators after this Dark Faction incident, right?" Namgong Sohai paused, stunned. Did he just read my mind? How did you know? He didn't reply, but instead walked towards Yang Sam. "Samta, call Hong W. Zong here." Elsewhere, where nature embraces the golden sunlight, bound and bandaged hands tighten as Hong Kwan's fiery temper erupts, we're heading straight for the palace. The soldiers behind him responded in unison, while the 3 members of the Yuan group whispered amongst themselves. "You can't abandon me, my lord. I'm from a prestigious martial arts sect." Namgong. Sohai said, swaying her bound hands and feet. "Will we really meet that person if we do this?" He calmly laid out his plan, explaining that perpetrators often linger near the scene of their crime. "So, if we transport this opium to the palace, we're sure to catch the culprit, because they'll definitely try to stop us. This man's vision is impossibly broad, his intellect extraordinary, and his martial arts even surpass my own. He coldly draws clear lines in every relationship. He carries himself with such arrogance, yet he cares deeply for his family and seems to have their trust. There's no way to trace his identity now." Tamni is quickly moved to the desolate mountains. Suddenly, the royal soldiers cried out in alarm. The enemy had arrived. Suddenly, a rope snaps. Namgong Sohai, with a somber look, cuts through his restraints with a sword. They've arrived. Before Hong Wo stood masked bandits wielding swords, and without hesitation, he roared, "You bastards! How dare you block my path? Do you have any idea who I am?" The leader of the gang glared at Hong Wo with a chilling voice. I don't care." Taking the opportunity, Jian Huaiyan turned and signaled, "Then you 2 go capture him." Dongban and the remaining 2 formed a defensive triangle, intent on capturing him alive. Namgong Sohai looked up at the high branches, feeling helpless. Capturing him alive would be harder than killing him, and there were too many enemies. She then glanced at him questioningly. "You're not going to fight?" "I don't know what he's planning, but he doesn't seem interested in fighting. The only useful one is the guy in black. The other one is lucky if he just stays out of the way. Seriously, what are you guys even doing? He's not scared at all. A bunch of small potatoes is still just a bunch of small potatoes." With that, Dongban charged forward. They were dumbfounded by the one-sided fight, witnessing an archer fall with a single punch and another defeated in the blink of an eye. 2 masked men fell after the final sword strike, and Dongban smirked at his victory. Meanwhile, Namgong Sohai and Jiang Samte are about to explode with anger, and he reluctantly speaks up. "Didn't we only need a few who could give us information? We don't have to catch them all, do we?" She was even more extreme, radiating a powerful, murderous aura. "I can't lose, especially not to him." "You know people can survive losing arms and legs as long as they have a mouth, right, Namgong?" Sohai just ran off. Jiang Sam shouts, "Hey, wait for me!" He was completely dumbfounded by these 2. Seriously? A moment later, peace was restored to the area, and Jian Huaiyan squinted slightly at the scene that had unfolded. The 3 captured all the bandits, but Jiang Samte dramatically face-planted, exclaiming he almost died. Ignoring him, the two reported to their lord. Is this enough, sir? Jian Uyan glances around, assessing the situation. Good, this is enough for the interrogation. Suddenly, Hong Wo appears out of nowhere, trying to steal the credit. All right, unmask them. His soldiers stood up straight, obediently answering, Yes, sir. He immediately grabbed a piece of the uniform, but when the guard saw the torn fabric in his hand, he froze, a grotesque face appearing before everyone's eyes. Even Namgong, So-Hai could sense the dread, rendered speechless as Dongban's eyes widened at the sight of the man's features. Hong Wo, unconcerned with appearances, presses on. Who are you and who ordered you to do this? But his words were cut short by Jian Yuhyun's hand on his shoulder. Stop. They won't answer questions like that. The rumor that the magistrate had found the medicine was only circulating in Changsha. Scarface twitched, about to retort. His next words clearly unsettled the man. Your headquarters are indeed in Changsha. Scarface grew wary but stubbornly denied it. I don't know what you're talking about. I won't say anything, just kill me. But Jianu Haiyan ignored his expression and continued to threaten him. Then I'll spell it out. You came here after hearing rumors in Changsha, so you're not from Hao. Meaning your sect is nearby, and even Namgung was surprised by this news. His sect? Scarface, his weakness exposed, gritted his teeth. You bastard, die! But before he could touch him, Aion defeated him with a single move. In an instant, Scarface was unconscious on the ground. Only then did he turn to her. Did any place come to mind after hearing that conversation? Namgong So-Hai nodded emphatically. Yes, from what you said, there are 3 sects that fit that description, and they all belong to the Martial Arts Alliance. As she spoke, she was deep in thought, her head aching, unable to believe the Martial Arts Alliance would stoop so low again. I hope it's not them this time. Why do I feel like we're falling apart, Namgong? So-Hai's silence made Jian Uyan waver. All right, I'll help you this time. Still not trusting him, she questions him. Really? But Jian Uyan's compassion is quickly replaced with a condition. Of course, you haven't forgotten the price for my help, have you? Namgong. So-Hee's assumptions quickly made her want to dig a hole and hide. I understand. We're searching, right? Thanks. In the end, Namgong So-Hai could only sigh. She followed the 3 men into the forest path. Let's go then. Elsewhere, the bald man grew impatient, raising his voice. What's going on? We sent them out a while ago, so why aren't they back yet? Chubangdi is certain they couldn't have failed. Just wait a little longer. Hearing this, the bald man frowned even more. We know that, but they shouldn't fail a mission because of a few waiting soldiers. He coughed a few times as he reassured him. Be patient. They're the ones you've been feeding with my medicine. They'll be back soon, don't worry. With that, the bald man wanted to add a little more pressure. Chubingay, it's not that I don't trust you, but the noise at the door caught our attention and the exposed shoes stunned them. You're Namgong So-Hee. Namgong So-Hee draws her sword with imposing flair, but her heart has been wavering for some time. I hoped his suspicions were wrong, but it's hard to believe they could commit such terrible acts under the watch of the Orthodox sects. One of them is the leader of a mid-tier sect, allied with the martial arts world. Chubangdi points at her in disbelief. Namgong So-Hee. Isn't she the Phoenix Squad captain? What is she doing here? Namgong So-Hee, meanwhile, stares intently at him. The other one looks familiar. Where have I seen him before? First, he must deal with those camped outside and interrogate them. Chubingyan's panic only intensified as events unfolded. He was shocked by the appearance of the expert behind her. Was that wrong, Sam? He seems to be on the same side as the alchemist who destroyed the Black Sword Society. Filled with rage, Chubingai's blood boiled. You bastard, I've finally found you, but Baldy manages to stop him. Wait, Chubingi, we need to find out why they're here first. In this, Chubingi was wiser, glancing around. Can't you guess? The higher-ups have discovered what we're doing. Don't worry, we just need to kill them, right? The ones we need to kill are coming here on their own, don't forget. The bald man suddenly turns his gaze to Jiang Shangyi. Are you talking about that guy? The madness returns to his face. That's right, if we can't kill him here and now, don't expect any help from me in the future. He was a bit displeased, but reluctantly agreed. All right, very well. And quickly, the 2 iron swords clashed. Namgong So-Hai sheathed her sword, a surge of hatred rising within her. I must kill at least one more who besieged the honor of the Martial Arts Alliance, but there are too many. I'll be defeated at this rate. Just then, a voice appeared in her ear, telling her to strike to the right. Namgong. So-Hai obeyed, instantly taking down an enemy. She turned back a little awkwardly to express her gratitude, but Jian Yuyan bluntly urged her to look this way first, as he was figuring it out himself. Immediately, Namgong So-Hee gasped in realization. That's right, I remember him now. What gang? Chubingi laughed excitedly. If you're the captain of the Phoenix Squad, you must recognize this old man. Good. How's Nam Gung Cho-en doing? Looks like he's about to die. I haven't heard anything about him in a long time. Annoyed by his teasing, she snapped, "Get lost." Guyan Uyun, watching from behind, recognized Ju Bing Yo and guessed that the man in the middle had used the copycat technique to impersonate someone. A sentiment echoed by Jiang Sam as she followed his gaze. Are you talking about him? Indeed, traces of the copy technique still linger on his face. Jianu Haiyan didn't hesitate to provoke him, saying he looked just like him, as Jiang Shan sadly eyed the wound on his face. Damn, that's depressing. Without wasting any time, he immediately assigned tasks, and now we have to catch that bastard first. You take the guy on the left. What, you want me to do it? However, Jiang Shanhei quickly put on a happy face, as he was met with Jian Yulian's cold gaze, and turned away in dissatisfaction. There are so many people here, why does he have to pick on me? Damn it. He continued to thoroughly remind him about the black-clad figure in the distance. Look closely. You take care of the one on the left. He's got a strong lower body, which is why he seems so confident in his lightness skill. Don't you think? But because you're second to me in lightness skill, you can do it, right? Jiang Shani momentarily loses focus as Jian Yulian's words echo in his mind. After him, I'm second, you're number 2? Spurred by those words, he moved with newfound resolve, determined to catch the imposter, vowing to give it his all. He glanced over, certain. Good, that one's taken care of. Jian Yulian's eyes quickly shifted to the figure standing high above. What should I do with that bastard? Seeing it all, Chu Bingyi was furious. So, you weren't mistaken when Jiang Shangdi obeyed you like that, were you? You're the one who destroyed the Black Sword Society, aren't you? He doesn't even bother denying it. Indeed, so what will you do? These words were all it took to send him into a frenzy. I will kill you. I must kill you. Jianu Haiyan frowned slightly in disdain. You seem awfully calm. Chu Bingyi, overstimulated, begins to hallucinate. You stole my home and murdered my family. You're the one who took everything from me. But he simply sighs, lamenting, Oh, it's been so long since I've seen the red aura. The one only I can see. The aura of a bringer of terror. One who harms those around them, and is full of sin. I no longer wish to create karma, but is this fate? Go to hell, you old monster. With that, he nearly turned evil, eyes wide with rage. Come on, I'll tear you limb from limb and destroy everything you hold dear. But Yu Hyun calmly looked up at Ju Bingyi. I don't understand what you're saying. As soon as he finished speaking, a black figure appeared next to the bald guy in rags, appearing before him with a bit of blood. The punk froze in disbelief, asking, What was that? Nam Gong So Hai and Dong Ban watched his expression from the sidelines. Things happened too fast. A terrified voice echoed through the open sky. It can't be. The others looked on in disbelief. Just what kind of monster is this guy? Jian Yu Haiyan furrowed his brow and approached, finally bringing silence, while Nam Gong So Hai remained shocked at the sight of the twisted corpses that barely resembled human remains. She'd seen death before, but never like this, she thought grimly. I witnessed the process with my own eyes. Nam Gong. So Hai couldn't believe what she was seeing. The images seemed to replay in her mind, their fear so palpable they couldn't even stand. Their dantian twisted, their inner energy reversed, and they collapsed from a chi deviation explosion. I'm sure they were much stronger than ordinary martial artists due to the drug's effects. Suddenly, Nam Gong So Hai noticed the person beside her. Jian Yuxian only gave her a cold look before leaving. You handle the rest. Elsewhere, someone is struggling to climb. That place was the North Lake of the Five Island Army Mountain, nestled in the heart of Dongting Lake. And after much effort, he finally arrived. He sat on the ground, panting. That was a tough climb. That man was the hunter Xiong. Kung stared up at the majestic scene before him, a place untouched for thousands of years. That's why we've come here. But I wonder if we'll find anything. Without warning, a massive pit opened beneath him, swallowing him whole. His agonizing screams echoed through the heavens, and after an unknown amount of time, Xiong finally awoke. He looked up at the dark sky in confusion, asking himself, Am I alive? Once he realized he was, Xiong breathed a sigh of relief. I'm alive, but where am I? Before he could collect himself, a glittering golden tail appeared before him. Xiong was shocked. Could this be the legendary serpent's trail? He couldn't resist taking his torch closer. Perfect, just perfect. This news alone will earn me enough to live comfortably if I sell it to the Martial Arts Alliance. But after only a few steps, he saw several skeletons sitting upright. Huh? The clothes they wore were still new, and Zhe-Young couldn't believe his eyes. People, they don't seem to have any injuries at all. Zhe-Young began to speculate. It looked like they were waiting for someone. He continued his journey of discovery, noting other names on the headstone. And the writing on the wall reads, "We honor the martial saint, and weep that we can now protect. We honor the martial saint and lay the gravestone to rest." They commemorate the martial saint and the 3 saints who rest here. Sikung was stunned, his voice faltering. Oh, martial god. It was only then that he clearly saw the name there, Janyan. Elsewhere, under the clear, scorching sky, a cherry blossom on the ground lamented endlessly. "It's so hot, so hot." Beside him, Jiang Shangtai and the others were digging away. Even Nam Gong So Hai, who was snacking, turned to ask, "Why are you digging in this heat? You have money? Why not hire someone?" But he just glared, thinking, "You think I don't know that?" Jiang Samte added heroically, "We were ordered to do it." Dongban was also very puzzled at this time. "Why don't you come down here and help?" But she answers without hesitation, "Because it's hot." Then Nam Gong So Hee turned to flirt, saying, "Come here, Somi. Sit next to me." Hua Somi, though exhausted, forces herself to persevere. Her father didn't tell her to do this, and she's starting to have doubts. Is he training everyone after the 3 swords meet? But she's so young. How strict. Suddenly a voice echoes, "Ama! Don't you know that martial arts aren't taught for money?" Jinuhaian scolded with his arms crossed. "Seomi is working hard. You're losing to a child." Namgung Sohee, unafraid, casually munches on snacks, telling him not to pop up like that. She declared boldly, "I paid, so I'm a customer here, but you don't seem to care." Guest. Suddenly, Jian Uyan proposes, "Shall we make a bet then?" Without hesitation, Namgung Sohee asks, "What's the bet?" He pointed to the nearby plot of land. "Whoever's peppers, whither fastest wins." She began to waver, but before she could finish her sentence, Jian Yang announced the prize. A tile of silver. She began to waver. A tale of silver, huh? Time passed, and now it was dusk. Namgong. Sohai toiled away, muttering, "I will win. I will win." Seeing this, Jiang Samte and the others were speechless. That was easy. Meanwhile, at the Marim Alliance, a shocked voice cried out, "Is it true?" His subordinate respectfully reports to Gongchun that they've confirmed the Martial Saints' secret activities on Gunshan Island. He quickly guessed what was happening and immediately sent someone to confirm. Yes, that's right, the corpses of the 3 purities are there. They were already incredibly famous legends. Every martial artist knew of the 3 saints. Zhang Sanfeng of Wudong, the monk of Shaolin, and the demonic sect's heavenly fiend. They were called the 3 sages, unmatched in skill, yet much about them remained unknown. He grew deeply concerned. This is no small matter. All of the Central Plains will be shaken if this gets out. The righteous, the wicked, the demonic sects, and the neighboring countries. Suddenly a voice spoke, startling Gongchun. It seems the Wudong sect will have to pay a visit. He immediately turned to the person next to him, knowing that if it was indeed Tai Gongsun, who had shown grace to the Wudong sect, they would have to go. That's the Wudong sect, something Elder Heo Gongchun knows better than anyone. Zhang Sanfeng founded Wudong and created Tai Chi, but it was Tai Gongshun who helped him understand the essence of martial arts. Zhang Sanfeng encountered Tai Gongsun at the Samwan Sword Conference, grasped the essence of Taoism, and created Wudong's current martial arts. So it's only natural that the Wudong sect reveres Tai Gongsun. Heogong also pointed out that the corpse of the Heavenly Demon Sacred Cult's greatest martial artist, Chun Mukwang, was also there, so the demonic sect would surely take action. He further emphasized that one wrong move could ignite a war between the righteous and the demonic sects, adding, "Given the urgency, I'll dispatch 200 martial artists from the Martial Arts Alliance under the command of the Wudong sect. To retrieve Tai Gongxin's remains to Wudong, I'll also need you to investigate the Martial Saint's secret cave." Heogong politely accepted, thanking the leader. Gongchun remains concerned. The bodies of Tai Gongxin and Zhan Muyang will be handled by the Wudong sect and the demonic sect. But I'm more concerned about this. Who is Namgung Lien? She's one of the 3 saints, but without the accomplishments of the other 2, no one even knows if she's righteous, evil, or demonic, and this is bound to draw more people in. Jiang Samte now lies on the ground, lamenting, "It's so hot. You happily made the suggestion, but traveling the country in this heat is exhausting. I want to go play in the stream." Nam Gong So Hai was excited to hear that. "I heard the water in Dongting Lake is very cool." But Jiang Shanzhe disagreed, saying the water was too deep and you'd die if you fell in. She stubbornly retorted, "You're just scared, but I'm not." Nam Gong So Hai mocked him, saying his lips were so thick they could be used as a flotation device, infuriating him. Dongba, seeing them, urged them to stop arguing and get up. They both turned on him, saying, "Get up yourself. You don't care about anyone but yourself and you're eating your noodles slowly." Yes. Nam Gong So Hee sighed in frustration, wondering why he was digging up this field. Zhang Shan, standing nearby, added that growing your own is clearly cheaper than buying from the store, immediately piquing her interest. How could someone like him have such innocent thoughts? They were speechless. Could it be true? They continued to speculate, but what was his true identity? He took down that entire gang in an instant. Zhang Samte added, with his martial arts skills, he might have been an assassin. However, Hua Cheomi declared loudly, "My father is a carpenter." The little one happily insisted it was true that her father fixed the house and built the shed, doing everything around the house. Nam Gongso-hee remained unconvinced. No way. Really? Hua Samzi remained adamant, and it's true. She begins to feel a little confused. He's that strong, and he's a carpenter. Jian Uyan is being teased in the streets. Hey Dian, wanna grab a drink? Dongban's face grew unsightly. How laughable. The child even raised a hoe and said, "My dad makes these too." But at that moment, Jianu Haiyan appeared, annoyed, telling her not to pry into other people's pasts. Nam Gongso-hai was a little flustered. How long has he been standing there? He crosses his arms, his expression cold. Long enough, and she's judging him with her eyes again. Someone like you, a carpenter? Jian Uyan knew exactly what the other was thinking, and immediately exclaimed, "That's enough." He finally asks about something strange. "Do you know what's been going on in Yueyang lately? It's been quite chaotic." Nam Gongso-hee asked, hands on her hips. "I wouldn't know. I haven't left this place." Dongban suggests it might be related to the Three Swords Society. However, Jian Uyan disagreed, sensing they were waiting for something. Hiseomi then raised her hand. "I know, but my classmates were talking about it. They're looking for something." He immediately leaned down and gently asked, "What thing?" The little girl giggled playfully. "Take a guess, father." Suddenly, a pigeon descends from the sky, landing gracefully on Nam Gongso-hai's hand. She saw the letter on its leg, seemingly guessing it was urgent. Jianu Haiyan, seeing Nam Gong-so-hai stunned, curiously asked what was wrong. She remained silent, then finally, with regret, Nam Gongso-hai said, "It seems I must return to the Murim Alliance." Time passed, and everyone came out to see her off. Shiziomi carefully reminds her, "Remember to come back and visit." Nam Gongso-hee cheerfully agreed. "Of course." "Seomi." Jang Samte suddenly felt a pang of regret. She's really gone. Oh, it must be serious. I wonder what it is. But a moment later, he was surprised when Jian Uyan assigned him this task. "Samte, go find out what's going on." Though reluctant, Jiang Samte had no choice but to obey. Fine, I'm going." Here I go again. On the way, Nam Gongso-hai's figure darts like the wind. Is she contemplating the traces of the martial saint? I've heard the legends, but I can't believe the martial saint's secret cave and the corpses of the three saints have been found. Dion Ban exclaimed in surprise, "The martial saint's secret cave?" Jiang Samte nodded, adding, "I knew it was big trouble when I saw her expression." Hong Gong Trang himself confirmed it. He realized with horror that this was no small matter. The legendary martial saint, also known as the ultimate demon, may have existed 1,000 years ago. Or perhaps he's just a myth. Dongban, full of enthusiasm, declares, "We have to go. This is proof of the martial saint's existence. If we're lucky, we might even find something good," Jiang Samte added. "That's right, master. This is a golden opportunity." However, Jian Uyan remains calm. "I heard about it at school too. But what is the martial saint's secret cave?" Meanwhile, Haizermi innocently rests in his arms. Is it food? Is it delicious hyung? Huayan also wonders, where exactly is the martial god's secret cave that everyone knows so well? The martial god, also known as the peerless heavenly demon, is surrounded by rumors. He's said to have killed countless people in the Central Plains. Not only was he a master of martial arts, but he was also known as an immortal who could survive anything. But in the end, he was rumored to have died at the hands of the Supreme Celestial. To think that he might find the cave of a legendary figure and receive enlightenment. Yongban wondered if this wasn't the most interesting thing in the martial world. Jianu Haiyan calmly asked for the location, though his mind raced with other thoughts, and this man didn't seem fazed at all. Jiang Samte eagerly replied, "It's on Golden Mountain Island. Should we head there now?" Jianu Haiyan dismissively refuses, saying it's too far, just as he thought. "I'm not going anywhere." He seemed a little hesitant after hearing that. "Is he really a carpenter?" Zhangban remarked belatedly. "Acting on emotion will make us late. We need to get there before the Martial Alliance, or the others will..." But he remained firm in his decision, seeing no benefit in going. There's nothing there. He felt a little helpless. "What is it, sir?" The lieutenant was filled with doubt. "What's going on? He's acting like he knows everything." "Don't tell me. Could he have been an ordinary carpenter who received guidance from a martial arts master and became so powerful?" "I don't know what you're imagining, but that's not it," Dongban thinks, still in disbelief. "Is that so?" He remained silent, thinking to himself, Kim Sun Island? Is that where the legendary 1,000-year-old serpent resides? I can barely remember. Kim Sun Island is home to a 1,000-year-old serpent and other strange phenomena, covered in poisonous weeds and insects. Even the creatures that dwell here are many times larger than normal, and the great serpent exudes a dark aura. It took me decades to manage everything and leave that place, entering at 15. I was 35 when I finally escaped, after countless failures and near-death experiences battling that giant serpent. I finally survived. The only thing left there were the deep training marks on the rocks. I never wanted to see them again. Suddenly, Zhangshane cried out in alarm. "Wait, sir. The Murim Alliance will also be departing from Hunan. So many people will be heading to Jinshan Island to seek the Martial Saint's legacy. If we don't get there first..." Jian Uyan's bewilderment is startling. "No, do you think the Martial Saint's legacy is easy to obtain? Right now, neither of you can control your own power, so what's the point of gaining more? Instead of standing around saying useless things, you'd be better off training. If you're lucky, you'll soon realize the truth is closer than you think," as he ignores their exhaustion. "If you understand, then accept your fate." Jiang Shamte then added, "Even if we don't obtain the Martial Saint's inheritance, it'll be worth it just to see the remains of the three saints." Jianu Haiyan turned back bewildered and asked, "What are you talking about?" Without hesitation, he replied, "The remaining relics of the three saints. Besides the memorial tablet for the god of war, I heard there are also the remains of the three sages. What's wrong?" After some thought, Jian Yuan finally makes a decision. "I've changed my mind. Let's go to Golden Mountain Island. The island is peaceful and the clear water is captivating." Jian Huayan stood at the ship's bow, surveying the scene. While nearby, Hong Wo wept uncontrollably, lamenting his ignorance of the martial world. "Why am I here?" Jiang Samte, who's in charge of the ship, loudly announces, "Sir, we've arrived. We've reached Golden Island." Nam Gong Sohee was stunned to see them. "You?" She relentlessly questioned, "Why are you here again?" "And what about Seomi?" Jian Uyan replied nonchalantly, "She's playing at Hong Wusang's house." He glanced over surprised. "What a surprise. I didn't expect to see you in a place like this. You must have heard the rumors." But Jian Uyan coldly replied, "To be honest, I have no interest." She was a little annoyed to hear that. "Not interested, but you still came to this remote island? You liar." But his next words surprised Nam Gong So-hee. "I'm more interested in finding the remains of the three sages." She blankly approached and asked, "Aren't the three sages' remains the Martial Saint's legacy? To come all this way just for that..." But Jan Yun's attitude is dismissive. So what? And he didn't forget to add, "I'm sure you've already done those searches." Nam Gong So-hee finally sighs in frustration, realizing the so-called dark agent has destroyed all the cave's entrances and exits. It's impossible to enter now. The recent rains have made the ground wet, and it might collapse completely soon. Jian Uyan pressed for more information. "So, you still haven't found the entrance?" She could only admit that she hadn't. "Not yet?" He suddenly proposed, "I want to meet that assassin." But Nam Gong So-hee only sighed in response. "The man is dead murdered, his body found torn limb from limb. We only recognized him by the trim of his clothes." Jian Uyan understood. The first to discover something often gains something, so it's understandable to attract attention. Then Jiang Shante, observing his surroundings, noticed something unusual, saying, "Don't you think it's quieter than usual here?" Nam Gong So-hee then explained, "This is the martial god's shrine and the resting place of the 3,000 smokes. No one would dare cause a ruckus here." Jianu Haiyan looked up and smirked. "The martial god's shrine. What a load of crap." She retorted, "Though it's just a legend, he was a martial arts prodigy." Nam Gong So-hee added, "Frankly, I don't entirely believe it either. Doesn't it sound far-fetched?" Having killed countless people, defeated by none, and angered the Eight Immortals by turning the heavenly realm upside down, he ultimately lost to Samcheon and died. There are even rumors that the Eight Immortals appeared to punish his sins. Despite his attempts to flee, he was captured. Yet Jian Uyan silently smirked, filling her with doubt. Nam Gong So-hee thought to herself, this was the first time she'd seen him smile like that. She approached him, asking if the legend of the martial god was that amusing. He still politely asks, exaggerating everything to the point of absurdity, "But what are you doing here?" Nam Gong So-hee didn't hide her intentions, stating she only came to see if any oddballs were around. Fortunately, the Martial Alliance and the demonic sect have finished their discussion, so they won't bring swords or fight here. But at this moment, someone suddenly shouts, "It's been found." Everyone's attention is immediately drawn to the cave. "The entrance to the cave has been found?" The man's voice boomed. "It has been found." The commotion draws everyone's attention to the Martial Saint's cave. Nam Gong So-hee says nothing more and rushes off, declaring, "I'm going." Jiang Samte then said, "I heard that between the Murim Alliance and the demonic sect, only the first to find the entrance can enter." What should we do? Jian Uyan was helpless. I don't know either. He calmly told the group, you guys just stand here and observe the situation first. Jiang Samte immediately nodded in agreement. Okay, so what will you do? But Jian Uyan's answer shocked everyone. I'm going to take a nap. The others were speechless. A nap? Seriously? That's our lord for you. Even in this situation, he remains calm. Jian Uyan doesn't waver in his decision. That's right, this long boat ride has tired me out. Let's hurry. You go into the deep forest alone and see what's there. Is this where they found the entrance in the northwest? A noise catches Jian Uyan's attention, and a childhood scene seems to appear before him. At that moment, Jian Uhyun remembered those precious memories as he trained diligently, and he suddenly fell silent. 1,000 years. It has been a long time. This autumn frost cave doesn't suit me at all. He had to hurry before they arrived. Soon, Jian Yuxian moved to the northern part of Mount Junshan, deep within the island. He surveyed the scene before him, wondering if it was nearby. Without a word, Jian Yuhyun leaped forward with all his might. And so he descended into the abyss to survey the situation. Soon, Jian Yuxian arrived at his destination. 1,000 years, and they haven't disappeared. Perhaps no one has ever set foot here. Should I venture deeper? The training marks have been altered so that no one can recognize them, and so Jian Uhyun enters. After a long while, he finally arrived at a place where 3 skeletons were sitting. It had been too long. I should have joined you long ago, but I must remain in this world. He fell silent as memories flooded back. Long ago, there were those who craved my power, relentlessly pursuing me, and others who would draw their swords at the mere sight of me. Though I'm not worthy of being called their master, they are my friends and disciples. Zhang Sam yawned, bored out of his mind. Where the heck is he sleeping? Just then, someone started talking. Hey, wait a minute, isn't that the twin swords of Mount Hua? I thought so too. Why would someone from the evil faction be here? Their words caught Dongban's attention. The remains of Tai Gongsin belong to the Orthodox faction, Chun Mukwang to the demonic sect, and Namgung Riol to neither. Is the evil sect targeting her? He immediately felt uneasy. Bored as he was, he couldn't afford to show any weakness. This was the first time he'd been stared at like this. Zhang Samt sighed, bored and indifferent. So what? Where else do you want to be noticed? Dongban angrily exclaims. Can't you see I don't like it? So you're just pushing me onto someone else? How would I know? Thanks to your fame, I'm stuck here like a stone statue. Hong Jun is suddenly surprised to be mentioned. What does this jerk mean? Statue? Zhang Zamti confidently chimes in. Of course. The governor, who doesn't know martial arts, would be afraid to stand among so many martial artists. Hong, now furious, retorted, Wasn't I supposed to be weak? I'm getting stronger every day. Zhang Ban finally had to be the voice of reason. Be quiet, you're no different. Wait, what is that? Hong is still dazed, unable to react. What are you saying? Dongban turned back to observe intently. After assessing the situation, he concludes that dozens of ships with cannons are approaching. Hong is terrified, his eyes wide, but he refuses to believe it. Come on, that's impossible. You must be mistaken. How could they get cannons without the court's permission? He remained steadfast in his conviction. But no, his eyes did not deceive him, for warships were now bearing down upon them. Zhang Shangyi pointed ahead. That sounds awful. Did they turn their ships around? Why do they look like they're aiming at us? Hong Yun, still in denial, insisted, You're joking. Stop teasing me. Even with cannons, they wouldn't dare fire so openly. They'd be beheaded. But just as he said that, they were ready to attack, and in an instant, an earth-shattering explosion erupted. The explosion was a direct hit on Hong Yun and his men. As the smoke cleared, they stood in shock, unable to react, while Dongban stood calmly. See? I told you it was a cannon. Zhang Samt was also extremely flustered. I told you those ships were targeting us. Hong Yun was the most panicked of all. Damn it, none of that matters anymore. He shouted, We're under attack! And in the next instant, they fled without a second thought. Everyone, run! As they fled, Dongban glanced back at him. Looking at those massive ships, he began to wonder, could it be the demonic sect? They must have been searching for the Martial Saint's cave for quite some time. The Great Elder must be exhausted. Whatever, there's no way to know. They just need to escape this rain of fire. Namgong. Sohai realizes this and panics. Is this an attack? She's bewildered. Who has so much artillery? Just then, an elder reminded her that this was no time to be shocked, and Namong Sohai nodded in agreement. That's right, Namgong. Sohai then recalled someone saying, Miss Namgong, something seems off. We'll scout ahead since we know the entrance. It was the demonic Gu Huang. I thought the demonic sects were just being overly cautious. Now she's confused. What to do? They're near the entrance, and this happens, but on the other hand, they just need to defend this place well. Namgong Sohai turned to ask for guidance. I think it's best if we focus our strength and deal with them first. What do you think? Branch leader? He quickly came to a conclusion. I agree, since we don't know how much further we have to go to find the cave, so let's just intercept them first. What do you think, Go? He is the head of the Hanam branch of the Morim Alliance. Go Damjin, leader of the Seven Swords Wudang, agreed, as Wudang was part of the Martial Arts Alliance. Though I wish to see our ancestors' remains as soon as possible, dealing with those who desecrated this sacred land is of utmost urgency. Very well, let's deal with them immediately. Jiang Samte and the others are hardly idle either. They're all working hard to escape. Everyone, do whatever it takes to clear a path. Hong Wo, however, weakly hides behind a tree. Win this, please. When will the Lord arrive? Now, more explosions erupt in the sky, and grenades appear in mid-air, causing widespread panic. It's falling. Jiang Samte saw it, but it was already too late. Damn it, I can't stop it in time. He could only shout, "Get out of the way!" But then, a figure ran back into the chaos, their form darting through the smoke and dust. Before long, Go Damjin stood tall. Someone recognized him, whispering, "It's Master Go, the leader of the nameless Seven Swords. We're saved." Goddaman confidently confronts them. "You must be the ones causing trouble on this sacred land. Where do you come from? If you want to live, speak now." However, the men in black were not so polite, saying words are useless, kill them, and so they charged into a frenzied battle. Elsewhere, as masked assassins attacked the Orthodox and Demonic Alliance, the west side of the island was eerily silent, as most had rushed to intercept them, leaving only a few to guard the cave entrance. But another group of assassins was rapidly approaching, striking down those present with lightning speed, as the men in black urged each other on. "Let's go in, we only have 30 minutes. All right. They proceeded inside without any precaution. Then someone spoke up, commenting on how long the cave was. "We've been walking longer than I thought. The flow of energy has changed. We're getting close." But then, the assassin froze. Jian Yu Hian had been standing there for a while, and they immediately drew their swords, on guard. "Who are you?" But he sneered with contempt. "It seems I have an uninvited guest. I was hiding here to avoid trouble, but I didn't expect someone like you to arrive first." "Well, you've saved me some trouble. I was just about to deal with you lot for causing that commotion with the fireworks." "Let's see. A solid stance, just like the assassins of old," Jian Yu Hian mused, slowly observing them. He suddenly felt more excited than ever. "It's interesting that you guys seem strong, but coming here was your mistake." The assassins, their patience gone, charged forward in a futile attempt. "Kill him!" They all surrounded Ian, but he only glanced at them. This formation is impressive, perhaps even surpassing Shaolin's Arhat formation. One assassin has keenly deduced that, judging by the aura he exudes, he is undoubtedly a master. But our battle formation can defeat even a martial arts master. He observes carefully, confident in his abilities. No one has ever escaped death when we combine our attacks. We will surely kill him. And so, the assassin ambushed Jian Union from behind, screaming in bitter resentment. Even as death approaches, he doesn't waver, casually flicking his hand, unleashing a massive force. The assassin is sent flying. He fell to the ground, crying out in agony. Seeing this, the others became more cautious. One was taken down instantly, his moves too fast and powerful, but that exposed an opening, and they all rushed towards Jian Wuyan. But he wasn't worried at all. "You want to die together? How foolish, attacking without knowing yourself or your enemy. You remind me of someone. What's up? If you'd used your heads, you might have lived longer, but no matter, he vanishes like the wind." Jian Wuyan swiftly eliminated the group, a rather interesting display as crimson blood splattered everywhere. They were soon utterly defeated, save for one barely clinging to life. Jian Wuyan coldly states, blade in hand, that strength doesn't equal failure, and this is the true way of the dagger. The man screamed in terror, "Who are you?" And so he sent him off to meet his ancestors, finally dealing with all the assassins. Jian Wuyan coldly glanced over and said, "Be quiet. One shouldn't wake the dead, should they?" He held the object in his hand, beginning to speculate. "So this is a signal flare? Over here, Namgong, Oi, Wantupai, and the others are still fighting fiercely. The Nameless Ones launched a surprise attack on the Orthodox and Demonic Alliance on Gunshan Island, but they were quickly defeated. They're trying to distract them to steal what's hidden in the secret cave, meaning they'll use this signal flare to let those fighting the Alliance know it when their plan is complete. This will signal that they've obtained what they came for." Jian Yuyan puts the flare back in his bag. Things just got a little easier, but then a sudden sound pierces the clear sky. Namgung Sohi was panting, exhausted. What was that sound just now? Everything that heard it left at once. Where are they going? Just then, someone noticed something strange. They suddenly stopped and retreated. That's the Gu Emperor of the demonic sect. They wondered among themselves, why did they retreat? I'm not sure either. Godam Jin, the leader of the Seven Swords clan. Godam Jin wipes the sweat from his brow, cursing that they still don't know who sent them. The captured ones all committed suicide with poison. They're no ordinary warriors. Suddenly, someone says, "I heard a sound right before they retreated." Upon hearing this, he realized what it was and shouted as if to warn them. A signal flare. They all rushed off at once, towards the secret cave. We have to get there now. Everyone pushed themselves to the limit to get ahead. But when they arrived at the cave, the group was shocked. How could this be? Nam Gong So Hai's face fell as they realized the martial god's secret cave was completely empty. Goddamn Jine, unable to bear the shock, collapses to the ground, blaming himself relentlessly. Damn it, we fell for such a simple trick. Gu Huang spoke up to advise them. There's no time for regret, we have to chase after them. Yes, you're right. Godam Jin immediately perked up. Miss Nam Gong, stay here in case they return. Seeing she was the only one left, Nam Gong So Hee felt a little lost. I've been left behind. How frustrating. Why has nothing been going right lately? Something caught her eye, and Nam Gong Dahyun approached to investigate, discovering a stele. Nam Gong Dahyun picks it up, studying it intently, murmuring a jian. But at that moment, Uyan had already set sail with the 3 Yangun skeletons. Gongchun stood in the cave, gazing at the traces left behind, and after a long while, he finally spoke. So it has come to this. He expresses his disappointment, still unaware of who attacked and who disposed of the bodies. The branch leader immediately took the blame, begging for forgiveness. Gongchun fell silent, lost in thought. Not only has T. Gongjin's body disappeared, but we haven't found any traces or remnants of the martial saint either. Considering the effort and money we've invested, we were far too ambitious for nothing. I can't believe we've reached a dead end. Gonan then spoke up, saying, "But we are certain of one thing." Gongchun immediately questioned, "What is it?" He slowly reported that this assassination was not the work of a demonic cult. We've been watching their every move from the start, so the culprit is likely an unknown force or a foreigner. Gongchun immediately suspected that they might be from the demonic sect. A thought Gonan and the branch leader found hard to believe. What? Are you suggesting it was the demonic sect? He slowly explained further. No, I'm just speculating. But we can't trust anything until we see it for ourselves. Haven't I said it time and again? We must always be wary of assumptions. Gonan readily admitted his negligence. I never considered the demonic sect since we've never discussed them. I'll investigate them as well. That white-clad man is Nam Gong Chun, a member of the Nam Gong family, considered the strongest of the 8 great families. Known as the Sword King, he was one of the strongest in the Central Plains, possessing unparalleled wisdom and vision. Gonan was proud to have such a learned man as their leader, but saddened that his term would soon end. If a new leader takes over, the martial arts alliance will fall into chaos, a troubling thought as they continue their observation. He stared at the dense sword marks on the cliff, but then Gong Chun despondently said, "It's useless. It seems someone deliberately left these sword marks to cover their tracks. We can't get any more information." He, too, was suddenly swallowed by an eerie silence. Ji Chun began to think carefully, thinking he'd finally found something useful with his senses. Who stole this opportunity from me?" A familiar voice echoed through the deep mountains. Jung Samte looked serious. Something big must be happening for them to call us here in secret, right? Dongban agreed, but then asked what he was doing. "If you need to relieve yourself, I'll keep watch." Annoyed, he retorted, "Can't you tell what I'm doing?" "I'm training, you idiot, you inconsiderate fool. Besides, why is the Lord, who wakes at the slightest sound, still asleep? He's definitely watching what we're doing on this island. He wants to teach us even more powerful martial arts? Don't be ridiculous. Stop with the nonsense. Maybe he went into the martial saint's secret cave to get us something amazing. Head back first. I have something for you all. How about that?" Dongban simply gave a polite laugh in response. "I wonder if it's true. We have to do a good job here." Suddenly, a voice echoed from behind. "So, you've arrived."